Yahoo Sports says Group of 5 commissioners will discuss the possibility of creating an invitational playoff for the sport, similar to how college basketball has the NIT.
It's time. You know what time it is? Tuscaloosa's longest running sports show.
The biggest goal of our team,
especially in the first half,
we at Bama, we're trying to be the best. Always is to win a national championship.
Something cool to look back on.
We don't want to waste a failure.
You're inside the game.
John Mechie on the ground.
Appreciate your interest in the game.
On your home for Alabama sports.
And Alabama wins.
Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota. And now, here's your award-winning host, Ryan Fowler.
How are you doing, Tuscaloosa? Big good afternoon to you. Welcome into the game. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. We're going to sit back on Thursday afternoon. We're going to have a little fun. We'll talk to Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com. Scrimmage number 2 on the campus of the University of Alabama. And what is expected to be, now they'll still do good on good. They'll do the good, number 1's against number 1 in practice, and they'll do for a long period of time. But when you look at Alabama working their way to the second and final scrimmage as Alabama gets ready for the upcoming season, we're now 16 days away, one Will Reichard away from Alabama Crimson Tide football. Will Reichard was the all-time NCAA scoring leader. We'll talk about that, but also wanted to start with some Nick Sheridan audio because we talked about earlier this week talking about how Alabama can beat you a lot of different ways. We're going to dive into that because we do look at this offensive side of the football. And even though we still have some doubters, I feel like that we've got less doubters now than what we did a couple of months ago because I think they're trying to cover themselves, right? They're still hanging on to that negative principle of, okay, hey, Alabama could do this, Alabama could do this. But they're also trying to cover their bases just a little bit to make sure that they have a way out, that they can look at you and say, well, hold on. I was just kidding about that. So we're going to talk about really, if you look at it from a worst case scenario, be honest. Take the crimson colored glasses off for just a minute. If you notice, I'm a little bit energized. I got some candy. Met down Danny Democracy Dan at the resort, and they had some of this wonderful candy sitting out on the table. And don't tell him, but I took me a Ziploc bag. Okay, that's what you do when you go to these places. You know, like if they got unlimited M&Ms, you just fill up a Ziploc bag. And so I filled up a bag of this candy that is homemade candy that Danny's mom makes, and it is absolutely incredible. So if you feel like I'm a little bit energized, I am because I got a little sugar high. It's not half and half tea. It is some amazing German homemade candy. So, but I take you to RJ Young. By the way, we're going to feature RJ tomorrow. He thinks Alabama is ranked too high. When you look at the AP poll, when you look at the coaches poll, he's got Alabama at number 9. Can you believe it? Now, but he does have Alabama on with looking at it. He does believe in Jalen Milroe, but he said Kalen DeBoer did an impressive job to stop the bleeding after Nick Saban announced his retirement from the sport and opened up a 30-day period for Alabama players to enter the portal. Okay. He is also one of the most successful active head coaches in the sport with an astounding 104-12 record as a head coach, including 3 NAIA national titles at Sioux Falls. His most important players, including quarterback Jalen Milroe, who fell 2 yards short to give the Tide one more opportunity to be featured in the national title game, and defensive back Malachi Moore, who's the best defender, and the new defensive coordinator Kane Womack has at his disposal. Meanwhile, incoming freshman wide receiver Ryan Williams figures to be an appointment TV as one of the most decorated players in the country out of high school. While Alabama has plenty of talent, DeBoer has brought in the best center in the country, Parker Brailsford, former Texas A&M defensive lineman LT Overton, who has had an amazing camp. And then he talks about Keon Sabb. But then he looks at it and he says he doesn't believe that this Alabama team can get the job done. So, you know, you do have those opinions, and we'll have RJ on tomorrow. RJ's a friend of mine. I've been on RJ's show. He's been on my show. He's out in Norman, Oklahoma. He's part of Fox Sports Radio and foxsports.com. So we'll talk with R.J. Young tomorrow. We're going to talk to Rod Dior coming up in a couple of minutes. We're also going to talk with Coach Pete Jenkins. We're going to talk about the defensive side of the football because there seems to be some excitement around this defensive front. I think this is probably one of Freddie Roach's best units, top to bottom. When you look at the depth of that unit, that's going to be one of the things that we'll dive into. But I want to start with Nick Sheridan on the offensive side of the football because Alabama has a chance to beat you a lot of different ways. This is Nick Sheridan talking about those ways when you look at the offensive diversity for this Alabama football team.
I wouldn't necessarily use the word comfort, when you're dealing with training camp and progressing. I think we have quality players at all positions, and we try to be tough to defend in all areas. And I think that's what great offenses do is that, they can execute what they need to in the moments that they have to, So when you have to run the ball, you got to be able to run the ball. If you have to throw the ball, you got to be able to throw the ball. And so I think that's what we're trying to build and create each and every day, because different weeks, different matchups, different schemes that you're going against are going to, require you to attack a certain way. And so, I wouldn't say comfortable, but I would say that we're building and growing towards that.
And that's one of the things that we've talked about coming out of this first scrimmage is how Alabama is going to be able to use these offensive weapons. They can do it a lot of different ways. We spent the last couple of days talking about running backs. They'll be able to run the football, but they're also going to be able to throw the football. And the tight end position is going to be a lot of fun. We also take a minute to welcome in a guy that I'm not looking at, but I've looked at him before because he is a guy that was part of our team last year, student at the University of Alabama. But we welcome Jackson to the club. Jackson is going to be the new producer for this program. Jackson is a student at the University of Alabama. Jackson, it is so good to have you. It's good to have you back for one in the building, but also now as a producer of the game. It's good to have you part of the team, man. Don't know if I could hear Jackson, but if Jackson's talking, I can't hear him. But that may be me. Could be on my end. But Jackson, good to have you part of the team. And, I don't know. I feel like that we need to baptize Jackson in his first. Now, Wyatt's still back there as well. So if anything goes crazy, Wyatt can help me. But Jackson, I feel like that we should introduce him with one of these just epic shows, right? I mean, everybody's screaming at one another. We're having a meltdown. We're making fun of Auburn. I mean, all the things that we, if we're known for, I think we could introduce Jackson. So Jackson, I don't know, like I said, I couldn't hear you, but it's good to have you part of the team. And we'll get to know Jackson a little bit more as we talk Alabama Crimson Tide football. So Jackson, welcome to the team. And for anybody that has called in the last couple of years, you've talked to Jackson probably off the scenes, behind the scenes, answered the phone calls, and he's a student at the University of Alabama. Is going to be our producer, so we take just a minute to welcome him. We'll talk to Rod Dior coming up in just a couple of minutes. TiderInsider.com. TiderInsider.com, the editor, the founder of the incredible website, TITV WVUA, with each Tuesday, 6:30, 10:30 on the replay. As I said, we're always powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com. The great dealership right there on Scotland Boulevard and online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. If you're looking for a Tundra, Tacoma, two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, if you're looking for the RAV4, the Highlander, and also the new 2025 Camry with over 50 miles per gallon, see the dealer for complete details. And we're also, as far as 3.99 APR, we're doing our Tundra 1.99 APR with a $2,000 loyalty cash. It is Tuscaloosa Toyota. It is TuscaloosaToyota.com. So we'll take phone calls coming up in a couple of minutes, but can you kind of wrap your head around, like, take off your crimson colored glasses. For me, I'm going to take these regular glasses, Oakley's that I have, and I'm going to put them to the side. Okay. I'm going to take my crimson colored glasses off. Be honest. What do you think is the bottom for this team? Like, what do you think is the least they could accomplish? Like, we are now 14, 15 days into practice. What do you think is the least this team? What's the floor? We've talked about the ceiling. The ceiling is they could win a national title. I mean, yes, this team could win a national title. I know that sounds kind of strange. Yes, this team could win an SEC. This team could do some damage and have a historic season. But as you look at it, what is the bottom? What is the bottom? What is it 8-4? Is it 9-3? I mean, take a look at it. I know for Alabama fans, it's always a challenge. But where is it? We'll talk about it. Rodney Orr coming up in a couple of minutes. We're 16 days away, brought to you by Alabama Credit Union. We'll continue with more of the game. T-Town, Tide, 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Now, this hour's West
Alabama County's 23rd homicide of the year, just 3 short of the record of 26. A man died from a shooting at the 3700 block of 17th Street earlier this morning. It's the beginning of Alabama's wildfire season, and 2 of 8 are burning in West Alabama, a 20-acre blaze near Moundville, a 15-acre one in northwest Walker County. We could get some badly needed rain over the next couple of days, but it comes with a marginal risk for strong to severe thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon through the early evening from
/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511 today. All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. Call Paul at 205-331-6823. Custom curbing for your home or business. Do away with those plastic individual stone borders. Go for that more permanent, decorative concrete border. No more grass growing between those individual stones. Cleaner to edge to maintain. They're willing to travel, not just here in Tuscaloosa, but also in our neighboring states as well over in Mississippi. Many colors and choices. They'll customize for that individual taste and house. Give them a call at 205-331-6823. You could also go to their Facebook account. Find their page. You can see exactly what the videos. They came out, did a free quote. Paul gave me an evaluation. Give them a call, 205-331-6823.
Call for your free info kit, 800-403-5566. That's 800-403-5566. 800-403-5566. Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Partly to mostly sunny this afternoon. A small chance of a shower through the evening hours. The high today 93, tonight's low 74. Tomorrow morning sunshine. A chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms by afternoon. The high 92. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
It's the longest running sports show in Tuscaloosa. You're listening to The Game with Ryan Fowler on Tide 100.9.
Into the game. Here we're going to go to Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com, the editor, the founder of the incredible website, TiderInsider.com. TITV-WBUA. It's Tuesday, 6:30, 10:30 on the replay. It is archived, TiderInsider.com. Rodney Orr, I hope you're having an amazing afternoon. Welcome into the game in T-Town.
Ryan, I'm doing well. How are you?
Hey, good, man. I'm outstanding, man. It's a good day and another practice on the campus of the University of Alabama. We're kind of working our way to this second scrimmage. And before we kind of get into that, let's go back to the last scrimmage. Your big takeaway from everything that you heard, combined with, how Kalen DeBoer addressed us. And now we've heard from both offense and defensive coordinators, Nick Sheridan, Kane Wommack.
Well, I think there's a lot of positive things, that we first take away from it. A lot of really good things on both sides of the ball. I mean, obviously, they made it clear it's give and take. LT Overton gets 3 sacks. Somebody missed 3 blocks, right? So there's give and take. There's some receivers that made some big plays, tight ends, but on the flip side of that means there were some blown coverages. So I think there's a lot of things that they still want to work on, but just talking to a few people, Ryan, there seemed to be a lot of positive vibes coming from the scrimmage. I mean, a lot of potential with this team, I think, was seen in that first scrimmage. And so from that standpoint, I felt really good about it. I mean, we can talk about individual positions and all of those individual players and things, but I just thought overall it was just the fact that most people that I talked to and have talked to for years and years and years, say, hey, look, there was good, there was bad, but we saw a lot of potential in this team.
Rodney, is this team 15 practices in ahead of where you thought it would be in fall camp?
Well, it's really hard for me because I don't know exactly. I would say this, just the overall from the first moment Kalen DeBoer's gotten here, he's pretty much handled every step extraordinarily well, and I think this camp has gone extremely well, based on just out there watching the practices, looking at the team, the preparation that David Ballou and his staff have done with this. I mean, you look at them physically, I mean, they look fantastic. There's so many athletes out there. There's a lot of intensity on the practice field. See good things from every position group. And again, I go back to the vibe, Ryan. I think I just get this feeling that the players, there's a closeness, there's a unity, there's a chemistry on this team. That's just the vibe you get from the practice. Of course, we'll find out a lot more when these games start. But I think that's really good, and it's a real positive. And I think this team, in some ways, I really think it has a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, some of the guys that are returning from last year. There's a lot of people that have doubted this team, and I don't think this team doubts itself. I think there's a lot of confidence that I see, kind of exuding body language that I see on the practice field.
Rodney, when you look at your questions, where are the questions at for this team as we enter the final couple of weeks going into this final scrimmage on Saturday?
I think it's pretty much still the same. I mean, I think, you start, if you want to start on defense, I think obviously the corners, they've got a lot of talent. We've talked about that. But again, there's a lot of inexperience, a lot of new players. We just don't know how they're going to respond. I think defensively overall, it's going to be interesting to see how this transition from Nick Saban's defense to Kane Womack's kind of takes hold. Really looking forward to seeing that, And then, on the other side of the ball, I think it's the offensive line is one thing that they're continuing to, even though I heard a lot of really good things about the potential of this offensive line, I mean, still you have to continue to develop that, what you have outside with Caden Proctor at left tackle, and then at the right tackle spot, Wilkin Formby, Elijah Pritchett still kind of going head-to-head there. But I think, the general feeling has been that this offensive line is going to be really good, as they develop. And I think, Ryan, the thing about it is, talking about a whole new system, you're talking about a whole new offense. I mean, it's not turnkey, it's not a turnkey operation. There's adjustments, there's bugs, there's things that you have to iron out, there's kinks that you have to get ironed out, those types of things. And, they got 2 games early, and I think those 2 early games, maybe hopefully you can get some things worked out where, as you start to move into the Wisconsin game, you're kind of feeling a little bit better about yourself in terms of where you are in that operation on both sides of the ball. So right now, you asked me, are they where I thought they would be? I would say that I would say that I feel confident where they are right now is that they're moving towards where they need to be when this season opener gets here and we move into the early part of the season.
Rodney, I want to ask you, because you're a individual who told us the possibility of Ryan Williams. I can almost remember the conversation with reclassifying and in the way that you thought that this may happen. It went down. When you go to practice, you see Ryan Williams. When you talk to people, you're hearing the buzz around Ryan Williams. I know they're trying to control it, but when you look at Ryan Williams, has grabbed a lot of people. I mean, anytime you talk to a defender, anytime you talk to a fellow wide receiver, somehow his name gets incorporated into the conversation. When you look at Ryan Williams, what are fair expectations? What are realistic expectations for Ryan Williams?
Well, I mean, I think when you look at Ryan, I mean, obviously the first thing that strikes me, and a lot of people talk about the things they see in him as a player, but I think it's really the maturity that he has, especially for being such a young kid. I mean, just 17 years old. Like you said, he's a year ahead of himself already. So to be able to make that transition the way he has been really impressive. He had the first big play in the scrimmage on Saturday, I think it was with the 50-yard touchdown reception from Jalen Milroe. So, even though he's young, the guy can compete right now with on this level. But also he can handle himself. I don't think just doesn't seem like it's too big for him, right now. So, just that transition that he's made, not only, like I said, physically to be able to carry out everything on the field, but to be able to handle it with the right mindset. And I think that's really what impresses me, about him. But as a player, I just look at him. I see a lot of things about him that remind me of Devontae Smith. Just really fluid. A guy that makes great adjustments on the ball. He's got tremendous hands, can do so many different things. And I think he's going to blend in really well with this wide receiver core. And I think, too, a big reason for that is not only they have a bunch of good guys in that room, but I think Jamarcus Shepard does a fantastic job. I think all of these players respect him. And I think that he's going to get the most out of them.
Let's go to the defensive side of the football. LT Overton, you've already mentioned in their opening comments when you look at LT Overton, the way that he performed on Saturday, kind of even getting some high praise from Kane Womack as, the defensive coordinator availability. But give me some other guys on that defensive front that could really, I'm not saying have that dominant defensive line, but who's going to be else in that room that grabs our attention outside of LT Overton?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I've been really impressed with the intensity. And I think that starts with Freddie Roach and with Jamie Mosley, who's helping him out on that defensive line. And I think that, I've noticed that just watching them really closely and through the years watching, some great Bo Davis defensive lines. But, so to be able to sense that intensity, and see so many guys that are physically ready to play, but not only that, or coming every day with that intensity, it's been pretty impressive to me. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how they actually respond once the games get here, because I think they've got some guys. Jaheim Otis, I think he has a chance. Jaheim could be the best defensive lineman in the SEC. He has that kind of potential. He could be one of the premier defensive linemen in the country. Tim Smith, I've been waiting for him for years to bust out. I think there's little doubt that Tim Smith has all the potential. Again, can he play with some consistency down in and down out? I think that's a real key with him. James Smith is another one from Montgomery Carver, young sophomore who has a ton of potential. Damon Payne, Tim Keenan, I think he brings a ton of leadership in there. I think he's really look forward to him having a good year as well. But there's just so many guys. Jamarian Latham, this is going to be a great opportunity for him. And for the last 4 years since he's been here, because he's a fifth-year guy, all we've heard is, well, he's not really big enough. He doesn't really fit, what we want to do in terms of, he needs to get bigger. And now you heard Kane Womack yesterday, day before, said, he's a perfect size for the Bandit. He and LT Overton both are kind of perfect sizes for that Bandit spot. So he fits in the system. Keon Keeley, got a close look at him in pads, Ryan, and you watch him in shorts, and they're wearing those baggy shorts and stuff. You can't always get that right glimpse that you need. But when seeing him in pads, you can tell how much weight he's put on. He's really added some good size. Don't know if he's quite ready yet, but I've talked to some people in there that said when he is, he's got a chance to be a real terror. So, I think there's a lot of guys. Jordan Renaud, really like him a lot. I love Edric Hill physically when I look at him. I look at Jeremiah Beeman, same thing. So I've rattled off some names here, probably forgot a few guys, but you get the drift. 9, 10 guys that I saw that just physically and athletically, they're the part. Now, the question is, how many of those guys are ready to take it to the field?
Rodney, let's go to the corners because everybody wants to talk about it. I got a message this morning from a former defensive back at the University of Alabama. We feel like we know what the safeties are going to look like with Malachi Moore and also Keon Sabb. Jackson's got one side when you look at the corner, but in your opinion, who's the leader? Who's the front runner for that opposite side of Jackson on the corner?
Well, again, I have to be careful here. Deshaun Jones, the transfer from Wake Forest, has gotten a lot of opportunity here. I think he ran with the ones initially in the scrimmage now. But Zabian Brown is, he's kind of been a little bit injured, so that might have been part of that. But they've got some guys that are really on that other side, Deshaun Jones, Zabian Brown, Jalen Mbakwe. They've raven about the steps that he's taken since spring. Zay Mincy's over there. So they got, 4 guys. And then you want to include Damani. That's 5 on the other side. So, that they can mix and match on both sides. And that's really big, right now. But I don't know in terms of who was going to be that starter, game one. But I think they've got a lot of great options there. In terms of just the potential they have. But again, we go back to the inexperience, Ryan. I think that's a real key. I think what most people are going to be watching is, this secondary and how they perform, because it takes a while sometimes. But, I'll say this, and I don't know if you got this on your audio that you played for your audience or whatever, but I thought Kane Womack said some interesting things about the secondary and playing young players.
Sure.
Because I know that we've talked many times in the past, we're not the only ones. A lot of people have talked about the difficulty of learning Nick Saban's system and how it took young players time to develop in the secondary and learn their roles and all of those things. And we know that Coach Saban was really reluctant to get young players on the field unless he fully trusted them. Minka Fitzpatrick being an example, some other young players that he got out. But sometimes it took guys some time. And the question was kind of presented to Kane Womack about his defense getting guys on the field in that secondary. And he said, look, we implement things kind of in stages. We get players prepared, young players, where they can go out and they can actually play without having to know every detail. They give them what they need to know, and they kind of bring them along. And I don't know that he exactly said it in this way, but in stages when they're ready for the next whatever they need. So that really got my attention, that they're going to have something in place that, if Zabian Brown or Jalen Mbakwe aren't necessarily fully up to speed on every aspect of, playing that position, they've got almost like a package that they're ready to play. And I thought that was really something that was interesting.
Rodney, taking what you just said, if I don't know if Nick Saban, if he would have stayed around, that was one area that he was going to have to adjust, because the days of backups waiting, 2-3 years, that's a thing of the past. Maybe this system is better, that you've got to incorporate quicker. If you don't get them on the field, you're going to lose them. It's just simple as that. It's just part of the game that we live in. I heard Kirby Smart talking about it just a couple of days ago. The transfer portal has impacted depth even at the top tier teams. This is one of those that, younger players are going to have to be counted on quicker.
100%. That's another thing I said on TiderInsider.com a couple of days ago in one of the reports that we had. I just said, it's going to be one thing that's going to be real interesting to me is the willingness to get young players on the field, whatever position they are, to kind of get their feet wet, let them play some. Let them play in meaningful situations. And I'm sure they're not going to put someone out there that at the risk of getting beat. But, it is going to be interesting to see how they kind of feed these guys playing time, give them opportunities. If more guys play, get opportunities in meaningful situations. It's going to be real interesting to watch that, because what you're saying is 100% true. If a guy feels like he's left out that first year, there's only so long you're going to be able to tell them and sell them on, hey, your time's coming. You've got to trust the process. All of that. That's great. And it worked a lot under Nick Saban. Guys waited their opportunities, and we saw a lot of guys that stuck around that, their third, fourth, fifth years, they really enhanced their opportunities for the future, right? We saw that, many of them. But it's not going to be quite that way now with that portal.
Rodney, I want to ask you about Cole Adams, because we all know the speed, but you're starting to get that he's going to have a role in this offense that I'm not saying significant, but he's a name that we're going to know in Tuscaloosa. Cole Adams, what have you heard?
Good things. Great things. Ryan, I mentioned the positive things on TiderInsider.com, and, you got to be careful because when you start talking about these players and saying the feedback you're getting, all of a sudden people think you're talking about he's going to be an All-American this year and, whatever. But good things for Cole Adams. I mean, I don't know exactly where he fits in right now, but it sounds like to me he's got a real chance to push, and be in that top 4 or 5 group. Of course, now they have a really good group, but I think there's an opportunity for a role for him because even Jamarcus Shepard's raved about him quite a bit, I know he was on one of the shows, Jamarcus Shepard on your station there a couple of months ago, and he really said some good things, but, calling him Mr. Reliable and all of these different things, and the production that he's having, he had some big plays in this scrimmage that they had last Saturday. I think he caught a 20-plus yard touchdown pass from Ty Simpson. He's a guy that he's tough. He's not the biggest guy, probably 5'10", 185, something like that, but he's elusive. He's quick. He's got good speed and really good hands, runs great routes. He's a guy that, I think we're going to hear some things from him early on.
I don't know if you saw this, Rodney, but the photos that they just sent us out from practice this morning, the first one out, Cole Adams. So sometimes I'm not saying that those photos can be encrypted, but they can be, right? I mean, they send out photos of playmakers that have, kind of highlighted because that's part of the process. We're getting photos, but there's a useful tool in there that they're using to kind of get their message out. But Cole Adams was the first player in the photos that I downloaded, so it's kind of funny. But go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, it's funny on my board. The guy hadn't played it down yet for Alabama, and people are out there comparing him. And I can understand this to Hunter Renfrow, that played at Clemson, guy that was really good, crafty, had a way of getting open, was probably a better athlete than people thought, and really did well with the Raiders for a while. I think Cole Adams look, I said this, Ryan, and you and I have talked about this. I think personally that this wide receiver group is going to really, as the season goes along, get better and better and better because I think they've got great coaching. I think Jamarcus Shepard is truly one of the best wide receiver coaches in America. Might be the best. And these guys, a lot of these guys are kind of like freshmen almost. They're having to learn some of the nuances of running routes, doing the different things, the intricacies of playing wide receiver, knowing the little things, being able to execute those things. I think this group is learning that. And I think it all is Jamarcus Shepard, teaching them what they need to know that they didn't have. And so I think this group's going to get better and better, and I think they've got some really good players. I love Kendrick Law. I think Kobe Prentice. Jeremy Bernard's kind of been in this system, so he's probably really well acclimated to what they want him to do. But just so many guys, and of course Ryan Williams, and I'm really intrigued by the freshman Caleb Odom. And we've talked about him many times. That great catch, that one-handed grab he made in the scrimmage the other day. I'm just intrigued. I really am. I'm interested to see this team. I think as they work out the kinks in this team, because there's always a transitional period, and it keeps going, that first year. So they're probably going to have a few bumps here and there. But I think once they get those things worked out, this is going to be a really exciting team to watch.
I'm going to ask you about tight ends because I don't ask you enough about tight ends. That seems to be another group that's grabbed a lot of buzz in this first 13 practices.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been excited about them too. We had them, in our On the Hoof reports that we've had since when we started the viewing periods here in camp. Really excited about them. I really am. Again, I think it's a group that's probably going to be better than what people think. C.J. Dupree, I like him a lot. He's a physical kid. He's big. I've always thought he had the ability to get down the field, make plays, make tough catches in traffic. It's a real competitor. Josh Cuevas, he had a 39-yard touchdown catch, I think it was, from Ty Simpson in the scrimmage. You know, they're going to utilize these receivers, these tight ends as receivers. So I think there's a lot of different things. I'm excited to see their roles. You know, Robbie Oots has been around a while. He's a different kind of player. He's a sneaky receiver, in my opinion. I think he can do some nice things. You know, Danny Lewis. I really like Danny Lewis too. I know I'm saying a lot of positive things, but I mean, Ryan, I saw some things in the spring, him making some adjustments on balls that he caught that I was like, wow, I hadn't seen that out of Danny Lewis yet, but that was nice to see. And so Danny Lewis, I like Ty Lockwood, the redshirt freshman. And you know what? Jay Lindsey, the true freshman, I don't know if you've eyeballed him out there, Ryan, or not when you've gone out there. But physically, I mean, he's from little Patrician Academy over there in Butler, Alabama. But that guy, Jay Lindsey, looks really good on the hoof. I mean, I know there's things he has to work on and learn and all of those things, but just physically, he's very impressive. So I like the group. I really do.
Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com, TiderInsider.com. Check it out. The great content, the great community that Rodney's been able to create. The editor, the founder of TiderInsider.com, TITV, WVUH, Tuesday, 6:30, 10:30 on the replay. Hey, Rodney, I appreciate you, man. Sorry I went a little bit long. I looked up the clock, and you and I have been talking a little bit longer than we normally do that, but I appreciate the opportunity, Rodney. I hope you have a great rest of your afternoon.
Hey, Ryan, I appreciate it. You take care.
Thank you. I want to spend some time today on the defensive side of the football because we definitely want to talk about the offense, but we've spent so much time on the offensive side of the football. Let's shift and go to the other side because it takes a balanced football team, not just on the offensive playbook, but on the offense and defense. When you look over there, who do you see as maybe that playmaker? Are you buying that Kane Womack? Because I got a text message last night pretty late from someone that said, you know, it doesn't seem to be a lot of hype over there. I don't think it's not that the hype doesn't exist. I think it's just simply that we've spent so much time on the offensive side of the football. Let's talk about it. 205-342-9904. But give me some of those breakout candidates that you're looking at. We'll continue. We're going to take phone calls. I got more audio that I want to get into. We'll do that next. T-Town, Tide, 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The Pharmacy at Midtown with TJ Thomas, 205-752-0627, pharmacymidtown.com. Don't forget about the retail side of the Pharmacy at Midtown. It's an independent-owned pharmacy specializing in walk-in prescriptions, medicine on time packaging.
Supply, we pride ourselves in having what our customers need and having the customer service you've come to expect.
North Ford Auto Supply. Why go anywhere else?
Dos Amigos, Highway 69 in the new Publix Shopping Center. 11 a.m. opening, 10 p.m. Friday and Saturday closing at 9, Sunday through Thursday. Some great Mexican cuisine, the great fajitas, the great desserts, the great lunch specials. You'll find it at Dos Amigos in the Publix Shopping Center on Highway 69. Takeout orders all.
Druid City Brewing Company on Saturday, August 24th. Doors open up at 3 p.m. Tickets are $10 with proceeds benefiting the Tuscaloosa Metro Animal Shelter. Learn more at ashfest.org.
DanielMooreArt.com. Daniel Moore Art celebrates those special moments of Alabama football history like 4th and 31, Jalen Milroe connected with Isaiah Bond, or the legacy continues with all the great memories of Alabama Crimson Tide football. You can celebrate Coach Saban with a Nick Saban print, the limited edition canvas. You can also find many of the great mini prints. Celebrate that special Alabama fan in your life. Daniel Moore.
For information, contact us at 205-333-0231 or visit behwater.biz.
The game is powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com. David DeSantis, the largest selection of new Toyotas in over 3 years, can be found on Skyline Boulevard, 3325 Skyline Boulevard. Also a nice inventory of pre-owned inventory. You can find the new Tundra, the 2024, the Tacoma 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive. How about a new 4Runner, Highlander, RAV4, Camry, Corolla, for those outside of Tuscaloosa, save money by driving to Tuscaloosa and buying here with a great tax rate. Customer service is a priority at Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com.
The flagship station for Alabama Crimson Tide football.
Alabama touchdown.
Only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Robert in Mobile. We'll take more of your phone calls coming up here in just a couple of minutes. We'll take those at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. And we start off with Robert in Mobile. Robert, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well, my friend.
Hey, man.
How are you, Robert?
Pretty good. I've recovered somewhat from Bidenomics, so I'm doing a little better. Hey.
Well, it's wishful thinking, but hey, I'm still paying $9 for a loaf of bread. How about you?
Yeah, there is that in an egg. Your question of the day was what again?
Well, you look at the defensive side of the football. Give me a couple of names out there, and there's two questions that we're going to kind of roll with. Who is a breakout guy on that defensive side of the football? Because we have spent so much time talking about the offense. Give me a guy over there that you're looking at going, hey, I like this guy.
I don't know enough names on new guys, because Malachi Moore, but he wouldn't necessarily be breakout. I mean, he'll just be, sustaining where he already is.
Well, I tell you somebody that I'm watching. I think Deontay Lawson can continue this linebacker trend at Alabama. I think he is in this offense. Because they're going to blitz. I mean, they're going to come after you, man. They're going to put pressure on you. That's going to give up some plays. But I think on the defensive side of the football, I like the name Deontay Lawson.
Yeah,
I just think
that's Deontay Lawson. Yeah. Yeah,
where
just
the number
considered breakout
which is going to be unique. Say it one more time.
Yeah, just so because Malachi, he has a great season. We're just kind of expecting that, so I wouldn't call that a breakout. Lofton, yeah, I guess that would be there. Yeah, it could be a breakout. I'm just going with the name you just gave me.
All right. So, all right. I want you to.
I understand. You're right.
Okay. So, but the main question is, Robert, I want you to put your negative Debbie Downers glasses. Okay. What's the floor for Alabama?
Yeah, okay. That's going to be tough. Oh, man. Well, 3 losses, I guess. They lose 3. Wait, see, that's the floor. In my opinion, I cannot see them losing more than 3 games. So if they lose 3 games, I think that's the floor. And it'll be an underachievement. I think I would consider 3 losses an underachievement. I mean, the schedule's tough, but I think this team can get that, make it with just 2. If they lose 3, I will consider that myself an underachievement, and I don't see how they'll be a championship team. That means we would have lost to Georgia, we would have lost to Oklahoma, and we have found a way to lose to Auburn or some team we shouldn't lose to in the regular season, in which case that's okay, man, guys, I guess we just have to chuck it up to, okay, it was a rebuilding year with a new coach. Maybe our crimson colored glasses got the better of us. If we lose 3, 3 losses for a normal team it's not bad, but Alabama's, we're not normal. we're above normal, and we like to keep it that way. Despite this tough schedule, I think we should lose only 2. If we lose 3, I think that's
But in your opinion, is 9-3 in the playoffs?
Yes, but it'll be a very weak team in the playoff that I wouldn't expect to go very far. 9-3 could get us in the playoff. We would be a weak team going in the playoffs, and that means Milroe failed to hit his ceiling. We got no wide receiver one. The running backs aren't performing well. That's all the things that would have to happen for Alabama to lose 3 games, even with this schedule. So yeah, we'd make the playoffs, but we'll make it past the first round. But I wouldn't say we'll make it past the second, and I definitely wouldn't bet on us being a championship team if we lose 3. So, in my opinion, that's the floor.
Okay.
All right. And at that point, we're probably replacing Milroe with a backup with the other quarterback too. I mean, it could be that bad.
Is that not crazy to think that the floor is 9-3? Because I think you made a really good case. I mean, that's the floor for the University of Alabama. 9-3. 9-3 is the floor for the University of Alabama. I mean, that within itself just makes you stop a little bit and you go, man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Wow.
And that's what changing coaches. That's what a coaching change, and I still think that's the floor. A normal team, they'd be devastated with a coaching change to that degree. Usually the coach is left the cupboard bare, like Jimbo Fisher, with a struggling team. But Nick Saban didn't leave a bare cupboard, and so therefore. And with Kalen DeBoer's track record, it'd just be a huge underachievement for us to lose 3 games. To lose 3 games. More than 3, because 4 games. That's just impossible. I would have to lose 4 games in a season with this squad. That's just impossible. So 3 games, yeah. Oh, you also mentioned about the running backs yesterday. Now, I wouldn't even get in on that. Man, your phones have been busy. I wouldn't even get in at all yesterday.
Well, they have been.
I'll go with I like Jam Miller. I think I'm hoping he has the breakout season, so I'm rooting for Jam Miller.
Okay. I'm trying to debate if I'm going to take him for 3 days. Because if I do it, you know what? It's the football season. No. I tell you what. I mean, because Robert, we did take a lot of phone calls yesterday. Let me do it. I don't mind. I mean, because I didn't say I was only going to restrict it 2 days. So Jam Miller is where you want to go. Give me the yardage.
I think, like your other caller said, I don't see anybody getting 1,000 yards. It's just too many, and Milroe's going to get his yards too. So I'm going to go 875. Well, that'll be a really good season for him.
I got it. Hey, Robert, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.
All right, guys.
Hey, we'll continue with more of the game. We got some audio that we want to dive into.
And protects.
Now you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for $37.99.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
You're listening to the best sports talk show, breaking down the Crimson Tide, the game with Ryan Fowler on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
And it is not. Now, that is not.
All right, so we're asking you to bring in your half-empty negative approach, okay? It's a little bit of a challenge. I mean, Robert said 9-3 is the floor for this Alabama team. All right, so take it from your perspective, okay? Put your negative hat on. Does anybody have any negative hats? Do we have anybody that hangs out around Tide 100.9 that's negative? Anybody got a negative Debbie Downer hat that we can borrow? I mean, we don't.
You need some chapstick, Ryan.
Yeah. Do you have any chapstick? Did anybody leave their? Okay, but I mean, look at it. Okay, let's just say the worst case scenario, right? What do you think it is? Like in my mind, outside of the 12 team, I can't logistically think about how this team would finish outside of the college football playoffs. And I'm right there with Robert. I mean, 9-3. Where's this team? because everybody else is having the same issues when you look at a depth concern. This is not just an Alabama Kalen DeBoer type thing. How? Why? I'm going to let a top coach explain that to you coming up in a couple of minutes. And I have been able to locate at least one hater. Ooh, I think you're going to like I don't know if you're going to like the audio, but it'll make you think. And we'll do that next. Rumsey Environmental, it's a one-stop shop serving West Alabama for all of your waste removal needs. When you have to know it's being done right, that's the time to call Rumsey Environmental, 205-248-0002, 205-248-0002. It's Rumsey Environmental when you have to know it's being done right. You'll hear that audio. I think it's going to make us a little bit evaluate Alabama a little bit different way. Tommy, I see you. We're headed your way in 2 minutes. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Rumsey Environmental, a one-stop shop serving West Alabama for all of your waste removal needs. If you're in the construction business, take a little bit of stress out of your life. The construction debris removal containers customized to fit your job site, the portable toilet service, the storage containers to protect your valuables. It's Rumsey Environmental for that complete waste removal service. When you have
electrical supplies, stop by Northport Electrical Supply, Monday through Friday, 7 until 4, right next to Northport Auto Supply, Highway 82 West in Northport.
Alabama Credit Union with the official countdown to Alabama Crimson Tide football right here on the game, alabamacu.com. The mobile app saves a lot of time. The mobile deposits, checking, savings, mortgage, home equity loan, financing a vehicle, the great competitive rates, Alabama Credit.
Experience the wow factor. Contact Shoot Masonry and Specialties at 205-887-3807 today and unleash your home's full potential.
For over 5 years in our community in downtown Northport under that Roll Tide Bridge, Mark's Mark, the home of the chicken swirl. You'll find that since 1978 in Selma, Alabama, for over 5 years in downtown Northport. If you want to dominate the grill today or any day, find Mark's Mark. A great stop by on your way home. If you're preparing for dinner, they've got a lot of those gourmet dishes that you can find, the great casseroles, the dips, the appetizers, the great steaks, the pork chops, the burgers, and all the supplies you need to dominate the grill. It's Mark's Mark for over 5 years in downtown Northport and since 1978 in Selma, Alabama. Mark's Mark, home of the chicken swirl.
Tide 100.9, Tuscaloosa weather.
Partly to mostly sunny this afternoon. A small chance of a shower through the evening hours. The high today 93, tonight's low 74. Tomorrow morning sunshine. A chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms by afternoon. The high 92. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Nick Cope.
News in the NFL. Reports say Bills Pro Bowl linebacker Matt Milano is out indefinitely after tearing his bicep in practice. He will have surgery in hopes that he may return later in the season. Chiefs coach Andy Reid said they plan to play their starters for the entire first half of Sunday's preseason game against the Lions. Jaguars coach Doug Peterson said quarterback Trevor Lawrence will not play in Sunday's preseason game against the Buccaneers. Jordan Chiles said in a statement to social media that the decision to strip her of her bronze medal, quote, feels unjust and comes as a significant blow, not just to me, but to everyone who has championed my journey, close quote. In college football, Ohio State named Kansas State transfer Will Howard the team's starting quarterback. Yahoo Sports says Group of 5 commissioners will discuss the possibility of creating an invitational playoff for the sport, similar to how college basketball has the NIT.
Any way you want it, the way you need it, any way you want it. She loves to laugh, she loves to sing, she does everything. She loves to move, she loves to groove, she loves a lot of things. All night, all night, all
All right, we're going to take phone calls coming up here in a couple of minutes. I got some audio audio they want to play, the Tuscaloosa Toyota, they play every single day. When you look at that new Tundra, 1.99 APR for 36, the $2,000 loyalty cash. If you're looking for the Camry, 3.99 APR for the 2025 Camry. The national sales event includes the RAV4, 3.99 APR. The Highlander, also some leasing options there available. It is Tuscaloosa Toyota. It is TuscaloosaToyota.com. QD over in Phoenix City. Appreciate you listening to me always. And every now and then QD will call in and he's a part of our show. So I always enjoy reading his interactions. But he says, with my Debbie Downer glasses on, our ceiling, I think he means the floor, but he says our ceiling is 8-4. I think he's talking about the floor there. Our floor is 8-4 with losses to Georgia, Tennessee, LSU, and Oklahoma or Auburn. Phoenix City. I don't know, man. That would be a disaster of a year, right? Georgia, Tennessee, LSU, and Oklahoma or Auburn. I mean, that would be one of those that you would be like, man, okay, all right. College football has really changed, right? Maybe we would go back and put another statue of Nick Saban up. I don't know. That just seems like, I mean, that's really stretching it, because I just don't think Alabama's going to lose to all those guys, right? Georgia here, Tennessee on the road, LSU on the road, Oklahoma. I mean, that would be way down there, right? I just, in my mind, I can't think of that. We'll talk to Coach Pete Jenkins coming up in 1 hour. We're going to talk about this depth concern, right? It's not just in Tuscaloosa. Who can navigate this? Let's go to Kirby Smart, because this audio is something I think that's worth playing. Listen to him talk about depth and the world of college football that we live in.
We got a long way to go as a football team. We are nowhere near where we close to where we need to be. I feel like we have less depth than we've ever had, and that's kind of a common theme talking to other coaches I talk to. I call it the deterioration of football, because every year we've been here, I feel like we've had more players capable of going in and play winning football, and every year that goes down. So we got to keep working to increase that number.
That's Kirby Smart. That's number one team in the country, right? I mean, that is the number one team in the country right there, telling you about the depth concerns around college football. So it's not just an Alabama thing. It's not just a coaching transition thing. Now, Alabama was able to pick up some transfer portal pieces, but they all also lost some as well, right? I mean, Caleb Downs. Caleb Odom's here. He's a wide receiver. But Caleb Downs, which I was looking at ESPN top 100 players, what is he, like 27, 28? I mean, he's up there. You're going to be kicking yourself, young man. You are literally, because the safety in this defense is going to be off the charts. You're going to see Malachi Moore. Listen, I'm not going to say that. I'll let everybody else find out when they need to find out. But there's going to be some blitz packages where we're going to see safeties get a lot of quarterback hurries. We're going to see some safeties get some sacks. Caleb Downs, you could have had that role. You could have enhanced your projection in the upcoming, well, you wouldn't have been eligible next year, but you could have been eligible in 2026. You got to stay 3 years in Tuscaloosa. But instead, you sold out, man. You sold out. You could have got money in Tuscaloosa, but you didn't even give Kalen DeBoer and Kane Wommack a chance. Okay. Maybe, that would be an awesome scenario, right? What if Alabama played Ohio State? Wouldn't that be a dream season? I mean, we're sitting here talking about the negative, but to be able to knock out Georgia September the 28th, but work our way to college football playoffs to take on Ohio State, wouldn't that be something? A little payback. Hey, you bought our quarterback and our safety. You bought a backup quarterback, Julian saying possibly the future. Okay. All right. Let's take phone calls. And I'll play a doubters comment coming up in about 6 or 7 minutes. Coach Pete Jenkins in about 50 minutes. Tommy Romulus. Tommy, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
All is well, Ron. How are you?
Good. Tommy, I'm going to hit you with a curveball.
Okay.
Today at practice, the rookies, the newcomers, the freshmen learned Yay Alabama. Without cheating and Googling it, can you sing Yay Alabama?
No, I can't. I have Alzheimer's. Sorry. No, I lip
Tommy,
sync. I'm sorry.
Do you know the words to Yay Alabama?
Yay Alabama, Crimson Tide.
Come on. I mean, do you really not know the words to Yay Alabama? The players were knowing the words today.
Yeah, but I had to learn math formula. They didn't teach me Yay Alabama and my ABCs.
Okay. Well, they listen. I learned.
And two, I was told at a young age, never ever sing. Period. Not even in the shower. Not even with a bucket on my head. So I took that advice. So don't put me on the spot.
Okay. Yay, Alabama, drown 'em tide. Every man's behind, Bama man's behind you. Hitch a stride. Go teach the Bulldogs how to behave. Send the Yellow Jackets to a watering grave. If a man starts to weaken, that's a shame. For Bama's plucking grit, writ her name in crimson flame. Fight on, men. Remember the Rose Bowl will win. Then so roll on to victory. Hitch a stride, your Dixie's football pride. Crimson Tide, roll Tide, roll Tide, roll Tide.
I'm proud of you. You did a better job on that than you did when you sang Happy Birthday to me the last 2 years.
I know it. But, I mean, I saw the players just a couple of minutes ago. We learned that. Our freshman orientation, we went inside Bryant-Denny Stadium, and they gave us a cup. And on the outside of the cup was the lyrics of Yay Alabama. And you had to learn it. If not, you had to stay in the stadium all night.
Well, I remember back in high school.
I guess you did.
I probably never got out of the stadium. We had to learn a high school song. I hope nobody's listening. That's an awful song.
What do you mean?
It was terrible. Hand in hand, the years go by, we were all this, oh God. Bring nightmares. I didn't want to sing it when I was in the 6th grade. I didn't want to sing it in the 12th grade. We had to sing it when we graduated. All I wanted was my diploma, excuse me. I got my diploma. I said, I'll never sing that song again. So I kept that promise. It was not a...
Okay.
It didn't get too fired up to go whoop the other team across the field, okay?
And so your senior song was what now? Hand in hand?
Yes, it's terrible.
Jackson Wyatt back there, can you guys play hand in hand? Who is it written by?
Oh, it was written by a 12th grade teacher. No, it was her song. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so it's not, okay, I just looked it up. It's hand in hand.
If
Phil
you looked
Collins.
it up, I'm going to tell you, and you find a copy and when you find somebody singing it in the song, you won't have a house when you come back Sunday. I'm serious. If you find that song, I don't want to hear it again.
Okay, we won't play it. Man, you've kind of, okay. All right.
Yeah. I don't remember. I don't remember. Go ahead.
Tommy, you're not going to have any trouble doing this because you're negative a lot of the times, right? You're very, I mean, you're like the old man, get off my porch type guy, right?
Yes.
You can be. You're not always on that, but I mean, sometimes you are. What's the floor for this team?
Well, you say since I don't have internet and I watch other shows and I have a radio, I listen to other shows. It is funny how bad they're talking about Alabama, but somehow Alabama is in their conversation of other schools for their success. Let me tie that together. We got to beat Alabama. I heard Sunday night on the Zone if Alabama and Auburn 9-2, and Auburn wins, they'll go to the playoffs because they beat Alabama. Well, I hear the same thing the week before. If we 8-2, blah blah, we beat Alabama, Oklahoma, we just go to the playoffs. It's all about beating Alabama. But Alabama's supposed to be down. Alabama's supposed to be a has-been. New coaching staff, he can't be true. Now the latest trap I'm hearing, well, if he win the national championship or you don't do it in 4 years, we'll run them off. And he's really more of an NFL coach, instead of a college coach. Now, 8 months ago, he won't be able to coach in the SEC, but now he's more of a pro coach. Because guess what, boys and girls? He can recruit. It's a cold summer in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Alabama's dying.
So hold on. The narrative is now that DeBoer will go to the NFL if he has success?
Yes. Yeah. Huh. He's more of a pro coach. His philosophy, yeah. You know what? I've told you several times. If you win the national championship...
What? Hold on. I mean, we started this mess with Nick Saban. Oh, he's only going to be there 2 or 3 years. He's not going to be in Tuscaloosa long term. He stayed 17 years and he retired in Tuscaloosa. And he decided to stay in Tuscaloosa. How many had that as a part of their bet? None? Zero?
Never mind. And yesterday he did Nick's pretend again as a retired coach. He still cares about the Tuscaloosa and West Alabama community. And I believe Taylor Moore. What have I told you? Anything the man do, they're going to criticize. Well, if he wins a national championship, well, of course he won a national championship. He had Nick Saban players. Oh, my God. Anybody can win with Nick Saban players. If he lose, he didn't coach Nick Saban players up. He got this 2 years window. Everything he does, good or bad, Nick Saban going to be tied to him because Nick Saban gave you this, or you didn't use Nick Saban's talent or his philosophical he built up for the last 7 years. It's never a win for Alabama. It's going to be negative. Is that the type of negative you want? I'm just giving out facts. Now, he's not going to stay here long. So remember what you said yesterday or Tuesday. For 5 years, during the summer, during the slow months. Well, who's going to be the next coach of Alabama? When do you think Nick Saban is going to retire? Well, this summer we haven't had that conversation. We got a new coach.
So should we go ahead and get our candidates? Do we circle back to Dabo if Kalen DeBoer goes to the NFL to coach the? Anyway, these folks.
This how bad is it, Ryan? I listened to a Florida fan. What in Gator man? Well, Florida go 0-6. They can go find Naples and get Lane Kiffin because they said, if we don't get him in 3 or 5 years, Alabama's going to go back and get Lane Kiffin. They are so scared. Yeah, because they thought Lane Kiffin would be going to Alabama. We got to get Lane Kiffin. Here's the man that insulted the Florida program when he was at Tennessee, but now they in love with him, and they want the team to lose. I mean, I've never heard of, there might be one out there, you can find them for me, but I never heard of Alabama fans say, well, I hope to God we go 0-12, we can hire so-and-so. No, we go with who we got. We got Taylor DeBoer, people. You might not love him, you don't like him, that's fine, but he's going to win for us. Believe.
So, okay, all right. So here's my random question.
Okay.
Do you give them, if this is true, and is this the out? So in other words, because in the media business, we don't like to be wrong. Okay. We want to be correct all the time. We're biased toward being right. We don't want to be wrong. Is this the way that they're saying, okay, his system now, because you have people now who told you that he couldn't recruit, he couldn't coach, he wouldn't be able to recruit in the South. So now we've all of a sudden went to, well, we're going to put him in the NFL. We're going to put him in the NFL. Anyway, this stuff is, I can't even keep up with it. I don't know how they do. It's much easier. It's much easier just to come out and admit, you know what? I misjudged that one. I misjudged that one. I didn't have that one correct. That's one that I missed, guys. That's one that I missed. My bad. I didn't see it coming. It's much easier to defend that than to come out and just keep digging. I've learned in my business, man, I've been on the wrong side of many arguments, many discussions. I told you, hey, this player's going to be this player's not going to be this. And I end up, looking like a fool. It is much easier in my business to admit when you're wrong than to just keep digging a hole.
Well, you got to remember in your business, as in all business, with politics, sports, or anything, if you're right 3% of the time, you're a freaking genius. Somebody don't remember the other 97% time when you're wrong. Oh, I told you he wasn't going to last 4 years. I told you. Yeah, but you missed the other 97% of the time. But you're an expert. I'm like, some of these guys they got on TV, you got to be freaking kidding me. Where have they dug them up? Because they don't know nothing about the game, which I've been accused. I don't know nothing. I'm a boring caller. I mean, they don't know a guard from a tackle. But, man, they are expert old coaching. So, have I helped you?
They are.
Yeah.
No, you did really, really good today, Tommy, and I'm just so glad that you have an optimistic view, man. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
So do you, Bro Todd. I'm sorry I didn't.
Hey, thank you.
For you. I just checked it.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, appreciate you, Tommy. Hope you have a great rest of your day, man. Thank you. Hey, we'll come back. We'll take Jumbo. We'll take Pat on the other side. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Now, this hour's West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
The Tuscaloosa Violent Crimes Unit has arrested a man they accuse of fatally shooting his own uncle in Northport early Thursday morning. The VCU also announced that federal marshals have arrested a suspect they believe murdered one man and wounded another in West Tuscaloosa Friday night. Finally, the Sanctuary on 25th is open now, offering small plates, craft cocktails, and live music in a transformed church after its congregation moved out last year. For the details on all these stories and exclusive photos from Sanctuary, get connected.
Important to let this moment pass us by.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Don Wallace CPA, 527 Main Avenue in downtown Northport. Small business and personal income taxes, payroll, sales tax needs. They can also help you with nonprofit or church accounting or auditing. In business since 1999, they work for you, not the IRS. When you take on taxes, you got to have someone on your side. It's Don Wallace.
The warm, soft bun. You can really taste the sweetness in every bite. The maple bun is bringing the fun.
Order the maple pepper bacon sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Available for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Partly to mostly sunny this afternoon. A small chance of a shower through the evening hours. The high today 93, tonight's low 74. Tomorrow morning sunshine. A chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms by afternoon. The high 92. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3320 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Tide 100.9. For more coverage of Alabama football, visit us at Tide100.9.com or download the free Tide 100.9 app.
The Crimson Tide will not be denied.
Oh, yeah. Let it play, guys. Keep it all the way. Now, but I got a problem with this Alabama football video that they put out, okay? I mean, they just put out the newcomers singing the fight song. The $1 Million Band, the cheerleaders visited practice. But guys, I don't see Kalen DeBoer learning that fight song. I mean, do we know that he knows it? I'm asking that question. Fight on, fight on, fight on. I mean, I see Jamarcus Shepard doing it. Anybody got a video of Kalen DeBoer? I saw the video they put out a couple of minutes ago. Hey, let's go to Jumbo. Jumbo, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Hey, Ryan.
How are you?
Good. Just, I'm tired, man. Been working a lot. Listen, before we get this started, let me say something. This is to Robert. This is to Robert down in Mobile. I love you, man. I think you got some fantastic points on here. I've even talked to Ryan about you at the radio station about how good of a caller you are. But let's. I'm gonna tell you this right now: we will not be 9-3. If we are 9-3 during the regular season, I will load up in my truck, drive to Mobile, and take you out to Lambert's and feed you. So, with that being said, we won't go. We will not go 9-3.
Now, but hold on, just a couple of minutes, okay? Because you can be a negative guy. I mean, you've been negative before.
When's the last time you've heard me being negative? It's been a good while.
Last August.
Okay. I'm good with that. You're right.
Okay. All right. So, Jumbo, what do you think is the floor for this team?
All right. It's August 15th, 2024. It's, 3:30, 3 o'clock, 3:15 somewhere. I said this a couple months ago. I believe we will win the whole thing. Now, going to regular season, I believe we'll be 11-1. The loss, I don't know to who, but all I'm concerned about right now is Western Kentucky. But we will finish up during the regular season 11-1. We will be in the top 4. We will win the SEC championship, and then we'll go from there. I truly believe that. I'm going to keep singing that song, and I want this date written down. And at the end of the season, somebody can come back to me and say, okay, you were right. We give you your props. But if I was wrong, then you can feed me every bit of crow you got at that station.
Okay. Jumbo, I don't know how to deal with this type of positivity from Jumbo. I mean, you have been all in from the get-go with this coaching staff. Why? Why are you like that? You're always upbeat, but you're over the top. I mean, you really believe in this football team.
When we first found out Coach announced his retirement January 10th, I started. There was a South Dakota State or one of the Valley coaches up there or something. I wanted him because I felt like the guy was young. He could bring a good appetite to the table. But then we hired Coach DeBoer, and I said, okay, let's see what happens here. Robert and I from Brookwood talked quite a bit, and the more I heard the people that you brought on, Ryan, the experts that you brought on, and Rodney Orr a while ago was just as positive, upbeat about everything. But you brought on all these people. They talked about how good this guy was, what a winner he had been everywhere. Lost my train of thought. He came in here, people said he couldn't do this, he couldn't do that. Well, he held this team together. He got one of the biggest recruits in the country from South Alabama to stay with us or come back to us. And he's done a freaking heck of a job recruiting and getting this team to buy in to his menu. So I'm telling you, come August 31st, when we start eating, we're going to be like Miss Pac-Man, and we're not going to stop eating until after the national championship game. I love this staff. I love what he's put together. All the experts are saying how great this coaching staff is. This is the best one we've ever had. The atmosphere's changed. The culture's changed. This man has got these guys believing, and they're, of course, playing Alabama football. And like we've always said before, the only team that can really beat Alabama is Alabama. I'm truly on board with Coach DeBoer, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to meet the man, because I feel that he's going to light up his own legacy, and he's just going to pick up where Coach Saban left off.
Jumbo.
Roll Tide, roll, baby.
I mean, your confidence is. This is something we're all having to adjust to.
Well, I looked at things differently. Of course, I've got Jesus Christ in my life, and I've took a different outlook on everything. But we'll stay right there. But it's just Ryan, the way you talked about this guy. And Rodney Orr and what he's seeing and what's going on out there now and what's happened, and how everybody's adjusted to this. And Coach DeBoer was obviously, I'll say this, quote, unquote, a mile more higher. Even though Greg got him, this is just one of those super, super hires. You cannot go wrong with this guy. Everybody go back and pull it up and look at where he's been and what he's got his teams to bite into and believe in. It's remarkable. And that's what Alabama needs. That's what we've got. And the tradition is going to continue. As simple as that.
Jumbo, you got me fired up, man. You got me fired up, man. Roll Tide? I don't have anything else to say, man. I mean, you've done a mic drop here.
I've got to say to everybody out there, don't be negative. Right now, where is there anything to be negative about? Kicking game's looking good. Offensive line, and I've always told you this, Ron, because I'm a big John Hannah man, and I was a left tackle. If the offensive line can come together and give the backs and the quarterback time to do what they need to do, this team will not be stopped. Any team will not be stopped if they got a great offensive line. And we've got it. The defensive line is playing good. The secondary is coming together real well. Now, as far as punt return, kickoff return, and things like that, I'm not too keen up on that. But where can you go wrong? I mean, I think we're going to beat people so bad you can put the cheerleaders out there and let them play a couple downs. This is going to be a fantastic football team. We are in for a treat this year. This is going to be a special year. I'm 61, and I hope out of my 61 years of life that this is the best year we've ever had as an Alabama football team. And I truly believe that that's what's going to happen.
Jumbo, I hope you're correct.
I
think this team has a chance to do something very, very special. I really do. Really do.
Well,
so,
if the Alabama Nation wants me to put them on my back, hop on my back, ride this train, brother, because I'm telling you, we're going to be bowling over a lot of people. And there's a song I want everybody to remember, and it's sang by Bob Seger. Roll me away. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Hey, we'll come back. We'll take Pat on the other side. Wow. Jumbo. Believing in this Alabama football team. We'll talk about it coming up in a couple of minutes. Coach Pete Jenkins joins us in 25 minutes to talk about the defensive side of the football and a lot more. Right here on The Game, T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Weekday mornings at 6 a.m. The Martin Houston Show.
Join the Martin Houston Show for a Friday edition of the program. It'll be a free-for-all Friday. We'll continue to break down Alabama football. And also want to remind you that tonight you can catch the high school football show. The West Alabama High School Pigskin Preview airs tonight at 7 o'clock. We'll be doing a preview show of all of the schools that we'll be covering throughout the 2024 season. Those conversations and more right here on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC.
Catch the Martin Houston Show from 6 to 7 weekday mornings on Tide 100.9.
Blue Spring Living Water is located in Bluntsville, Alabama, Blount County, about an hour north of Birmingham. Blue Spring Living Water is harvested and bottled from a centuries-old natural spring on a private family farm. Blue Spring is an all-natural water source that flows just under 1 million gallons a day. They have partnered with Waterway of Alabama. and they've been in the water delivery business for over 30 years. To have Blue Spring living water delivered right to your home, right to your front door every month, new customers get their 5 jugs for $50, and the empties are exchanged every month for new ones. I know we have it at the Fowler household. We drink more water because of BlueSpringLivingWater.com. You can sign up at 205-602-3426. Talk to someone directly. Blue Spring Living Water can also be found. Mark Smart.
City Brewing Company on Saturday, August 24th. Doors open up at 3 p.m. Tickets are $10 with proceeds benefiting the Tuscaloosa Metro Animal Shelter. Learn more at ashfest.org.
With only 43 seconds remaining, facing a 4th and goal from the 31-yard line at Jordan-Hare Stadium, quarterback Jalen Milroe finds himself under immense pressure, scrambling to connect with Isaiah Bond in the corner of the end zone for a miraculous come-from-behind victory over Auburn. The jaw-dropping 27-24 result came on the 10th anniversary of the Kick Six. Daniel Moore is proud to announce 4th and 31, his upcoming oil painting featuring the now famous Gravedigger play. New Life Art is now accepting pre-orders for limited edition fine art prints and canvases of 4th and 31. See the preliminary pencil sketch for the artist's full color painting at DanielMooreArt.com. Pre-order your.
For more information, contact us at 205-333-0231 or visit behwater.biz.
The best breakdown of Alabama football in the state. The Game with Ryan. Alabama Sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
If you want to paint T-Town crimson or any other color,
eatery there on the fringe of the campus of the University of Alabama, close enough that you can smell the championships. The Nuke's Goose sandwich, still the #1 sandwich across the franchise. The French dip sandwich, I think, is going to challenge for that #1 spot. The double club, the single club, you can pair those up with a great sandwich, salad, California-style pizzas, all available for catering from a group of 5 to 500, a small office party to a large corporate event. Joel Bromfield, they've done a great job for my family. They'll do a great
and operated since 1971 with 2 locations to serve you. 15th Street, Tuscaloosa, and McFarland Boulevard in Northport. Online at paintspot.org.
Pat's Florist and Gourmet Baskets in downtown Tuscaloosa, 1010 Queen City Avenue for over 60 years. They've been serving our community. They specialize in a large inventory of fresh flowers, weddings, gourmet fruit baskets. If you're trying to lift someone's spirits, it is Pat's Florist Gourmet Baskets by calling 205-345-5093. Delivery options are available, but it's more than just flowers at Pat's Florist and Gourmet Baskets, 1010 Queen City Avenue.
Sell or trade guns, knives, ammo, sporting goods, and more. Gun show and night show hours are August 17th, 9 until 5, and August the 18th, 10 until 4 at the Cottondale VFW.
MedCenterUrgentCare.com. We expect the unexpected. Locations in Tuscaloosa, Northport, North River, right there off Rice Mine Road, Fayette, Demopolis, Hoover. The great doctors, urgent care, family medicine, injuries, occupational health, sports physicals. We do expect the unexpected.
Visit us at 3537 Skyland Boulevard East or check us out online, bmwoftuscaloosa.com. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Take your dreams for a drive.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Partly to mostly sunny this afternoon. A small chance of a shower through the evening hours. The high today 93, tonight's low 74. Tomorrow morning sunshine. A chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms by afternoon. The high 92. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
A national championship team covering a national championship team. The best sports talk in the state. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
In Tuscaloosa, I do remind you, Med Center Urgent Care Family Medicine, no appointment necessary. The super doctors who live and work in our area, MedCenterUrgentCare.com, MedCenterUrgentCare.com. We got to get you back to 100%. You can do that by visiting either location. It is Tuscaloosa, the Lowe's Shopping Center. You'll find Northport right there on McFarland, U.S. Highway 82, right past Highway 43, North River on Rice Pine Road, Hoover off of Highway 150, Fayette, Demopolis, MedCenterUrgentCare.com. The online check-in can significantly reduce your wait time. It is our good friends at MedCenterUrgentCare.com, MedCenterUrgentCare.com. Let's continue with more phone calls, and we go to Pat. Pat, good afternoon, sir. You're in the game.
Sunscreen. You there?
Say it one more time, Pat. I'm sorry.
I said I hope that you're using sunscreen down there at the Gulf, because that you're a little fair complected. And but anyway, hey, how many gallons does that Blue Spring bottle? That my water cooler has a 4 gallon, but it'll accommodate a 5. And I am thinking about it because I used the custom curbing guy did a fantastic job for my next door neighbor on the custom curbing, and I hooked them up.
Tuscaloosa custom curbing.
Yeah, and because you all the time advertise. That's one thing about you is you do advertise very good products. That you, as far as nobody can say bad about you on that. But my question is it a 5 gallon bottle? It's $50 a month. If it's a 5 gallon bottle, that's a good deal.
It is. It's 5 gallons. Waterway of Birmingham is who delivers my water to me. Blue Spring Living Water it's a spring up in Blount County.
Yeah, I know where it's at. I've actually checked them out.
Well, and what you need to do is go to their Facebook account and actually look at the spring, because when you see the actual spring, it doesn't even look real. Or you could go to Google and just Google Blue Spring Living Water. It looks like something you would see like in the Caribbean.
Yeah. Hey, are you familiar with watercressing? At a watercress salad or a watercress sandwich, and watercress goes all the way back to the time of the Romans with Jesus. And
I know what a watercress is. Matter of fact,
it's in North Alabama. Watercress was first harvested in North Alabama and distributed all across the South by rail. And
I believe it's in Newmarket, Alabama, which is. They got like a lot of ponds up there, and they grow watercress.
Yeah, and it's it's a fantastic deal. I use it's one of the most perfect superfoods out there for many different things. But anyway, back to what we just talk some football here. I want to know why do they think that we don't have enough depth? That you see what's happening out in Texas? They've lost several of their key running backs. And now we've got some banged up running backs. Now, they've almost started putting multicolored jerseys on them. We're making a joke about multicolored jerseys. But you realize that we have Emmanuel Henderson, a 5-star running back, that we switched to wide receiver because we got so many running backs.
I don't know why they switched, but it sounds like you may know a little bit more about it than I do. Pat? Lose you? Okay. I'm not able to hear Pat, so I don't know if we lost him, but we'll get him back.
Sorry about that.
Yep, we lost Pat. Let's continue with more phone calls. Pat, try to get back in, because I think you were going somewhere. I just don't know exactly. He was going to try back the depth at running back. Let's try Marty at Arkansas. Marty, good afternoon. You're in the game.
I'm in the game, Ryan. I'm doing good. Ryan, my floor, and I've gone through people, and I've gone talked to a few coaches. It's going to be either 4 or 5 losses. That's my floor. but I don't think it'll happen. But that's my floor. And the coach told me how it could happen. That knows he likes Alabama too. Injuries could be part of it. I still feel the South Carolina game, the tennis, somewhere there was a game. I don't know where it's one, but we'll lose one there. And going to Camp Randolph, we should win. They play that muddy style, Big Ten, knock-a-sock-em, rock-em, roller derby football. We're just going to have to be ready. But I think 9-3 will get us in at number 12. And I'm not like Robert. I think you get in, it's a crapshoot no matter what. And you get, and like that Robert, the guy that was on at the beginning.
Yeah, Robert from Mobile. He was our first call.
No, not yeah, but who was your guest that run today?
Oh, we had Rodney Orr. Rodney Orr.
Rodney Orr. He said we keep on getting better and better and better. It's just like in the playoffs and the baseball. You get in, usually a playoff team wins the World Series. The team that you think going to win it ain't going to win it. 9-3, but it has to fall the right way at 9-3, and you get in, anything can happen. But Ryan, I'm like, going to LSU. Everyone thinks we're going to lose at Oklahoma, so maybe there's a loss. And you might slip up and be in a growing pain on a play, and there goes a touchdown, and we lose. So I'm not saying that we will go. You know where I'm at on it, but you just said, and I was doing it last night with a high school coach and a college coach, and we're going through schedules of teams through the Phil Steele book and stuff. And I said, let's do Alabama. And let's don't be homers, because the one guy does like Alabama, the other one, he's just a football. The coach just a football guru. And so we did it, and they talked about it. Like one coach, his team's number 2 in the state. But he says, for me to finish there, I've got to stay healthy. I can't lose my quarterback because my backup quarterback's going to be a freshman. I can't lose this guy. But if we play well and we get through September, with no injuries, I should be all right. So there's where we get through September, through them 3 games, and why I don't think we'll lose the Georgia game is we got the week off to figure everything out. If we're 3-0, we still got learning curves and everything. We have the week off. We haven't shown anything at all, and we do like Bear Bryant did when he went out west and beat USC. We come in with a special game plan, a special defensive plan, and we blow Georgia out because they're not ready for it. But that's my low.
Hold on. So your floor is what again?
4 or 5 losses.
5 losses?
Well, injuries, like one coach said, he went through the schedule too. I just feel like we'll lose a game in that 3-game stretch there, and going to Camp Randolph ain't going to be easy. It ain't going to be an easy game. And anything can happen in a mud bowl. That's what I call Big Ten football. And then injuries could play a big part of it too. I mean, depth is going to be, and like what you said, we may be in the playoffs, and we may have to rest 4 or 5 guys, and we might lose the game. But we're in the playoffs anyway. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because you're playing 16, 17 games. Look at all these teams, right? Look at Texas. I don't know how many other college teams have lost anybody, but I know a few high school teams that already got injured in the Jamboree. 2 good state football teams over in Tennessee. They lost their number 1 running back and their number 2 quarterback last night. So, I mean, anything can happen. In that scrimmage, anything can happen, and even a non-injury. Look at Minnesota. Minnesota lost their backup quarterback. Now they got to go call on the phone and get one. I wish they'd get A.J. McCarron. But, I mean, there's where, you never know what's going to happen. You could be walking across the street and pull your hammy. So, but that's my floor, but I don't think it will happen. You just said put on my negative hat, and I did that. It was hard to do because I'm doing Meals on Wheels today in the boot hill, and I was getting knocked off and on. So, but that cheered me up. So, but you said pick your 4, and last night we did it, and we all came up with 4 losses. We all came up with 4 or 5 losses if things break down. But if things don't break down,
I mean, it would take multiple. I mean, I'm sitting here in my head as you're saying the possibility. I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
So was I last night. So was I last night. But the 2 coaches had some good insight. I mean, like I said, one's a high school state champion and the other one's a college coach. And they had some good insights. Like, like you said, look at Kirby Smart. They're not where they want to be, But I don't think it will happen. I'm just saying, you asked me about it, and last night we were going through because everyone calls me a homer for Alabama living in Arkansas, and I don't think Arkansas is that good and never has been. But I'm not no hater of anybody. I just don't like a few teams, and I don't root for them. No matter who they play, I don't want them to lose every game, but I don't want them to win some games and then they get all wild. That's like Cal College. I want them to lose every game. So do I. And I want the nasty Orange to lose every game and go up there and paint some houses orange.
All right, Marty.
Hey, that's why I hate them. But hey, I didn't mean to ruin your day. That's just what I said.
You didn't ruin my day. I'm having a hard time thinking about it.
I have a hard time thinking about it, too. But last night, the 2 coaches we circled games, and they said this, like the Camp Randall game. I mean, it's going to be, you have the 2 easy games, and then you come in with the hard one. That's why I think Georgia ain't going to be ready for Clemson. Clemson got chip on their shoulder, and they got to prove something. And Georgia's reading all those press clippings. All right, Ron, I'm going to let you go. I'm not going to talk no more.
Well, thank you. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. That's Marty in Arkansas. Appreciate everything. Let's continue with more phone calls. We'll dive into there, and we'll dive into a couple different things. Coach Pete Jenkins coming up here in a couple of minutes. We're going to break down some college football. Hey, let me remind you about the Wharf. If you're looking for a new pair of boots, Justin, Tony Lama, Red Wing, Georgia, Double H, Timberline, Laredo, and many more, you will find those. How about the Wrangler, Levi, Lee, Carhartt clothing? You'll find all of those great options right there. It is the Wharf, the Working Western headquarters for the entire family. That is a lot of things that we have a place to go get the work in Western wear. Western wear is certainly very popular, but, people in West Alabama work extremely hard, and you've got to have the apparel to match that hard work, whether it's steel-toed boots or just your casual work boot. You'll find it right there at the Wharf since 1976. The Working Western headquarters for the entire family. Coach Pete Jenkins joins us in 3 minutes in Tuscaloosa, and then right back to phone calls. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Ability of natural gas with rebates up to $800 from Spire when you switch from electric. To learn more, visit SpireEnergy.com/reliable.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Nick Coe.
News in the NFL. Reports say Bills Pro Bowl linebacker Matt Milano is out indefinitely after tearing his bicep in practice. He will have surgery in hopes that he may return later in the season. Chiefs coach Andy Reid said they plan to play their starters for the entire first half of Sunday's preseason game against the Lions. Jaguars coach Doug Peterson said quarterback Trevor Lawrence will not play in Sunday's preseason game against the Buccaneers. Jordan Childs said in a statement to social media that the decision to strip her winner of her bronze medal, quote, feels unjust and comes as a significant blow, not just to me, but to everyone who has championed my journey, close quote. In college football, Ohio State named Kansas State transfer Will Howard the team's starting quarterback. Yahoo Sports says Group of 5 commissioners will discuss the possibility of creating an invitational playoff for the sport, similar to how college basketball has the NIT.
I got spirit, I got faith. I might bend, but I won't break. I'll fight the elements. And I'ma go down swinging. If I go down, I'ma go down swinging.
You know, this song reminds me, because this is Nate Oates' song, and reminding you when you look at the big week coming up, August the 26th, we're going to have Nate Oates. We're going to have John Hannah, the College Football Pro Football Hall of Fame member. He's going to be speaking at the University Church of Christ, along with Cedric Burns, which Cedric has been a part of that University of Alabama athletic team for over 40 years. Wow. Think about arriving here under Coach Paul Bear Bryant, and he's still under Coach Saban when you look at Cedric Burns. So we're going to have Cedric Burns, we're going to have John Hannah, and also Nate Oates doing a presentation. The Pigskin Kickoff, I was just told a couple of minutes ago, they are almost out of tables. They only have 14 tables left. We just made this announcement last week with David Harden. So it's going to be featuring John Hannah, Nate Oates, Cedric Burns. Remember, you can call the church, University Church of Christ, 205-553-3001. David Harden, 205-454-7088. But they're down to 14 tables that are left. And that's it. So if you're thinking about it, you're on the fence, you want to go see John Hannah do a presentation, then that's your option. Right now, we're going to continue our conversation. We're going to welcome in Coach Pete Jenkins. Coach, I hope you're having an amazing day. Welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa.
Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, I'm having a great day. I hope you are too.
Yeah, and I want to spend some time, because when you look at college football, I heard Kirby talking about this yesterday, talking about depth concerns and how teams are having to juggle this because the portal and NIL, and it's really impacted the depth around college football.
Yes, indeed, it has. It's impacted college football from top to bottom. Hey, Ryan, you don't want me to get started on that stuff again, do you? I get started on that stuff. You have to hang up to get me to stop, you know? Yeah, it has. I heard Coach Saban say at the end of I was there. It was 1 week left in spring practice a couple of years ago. And I heard Coach Saban say to the staff, hey, guys, you better keep your ears open there and get close to you guys, because, spring practice is over next week. And there's no telling who's thinking about getting into that portal. And basically what it is, if they're not starters, they're looking, hey, where can I go and be the starter? And everybody's plagued with that same thing. Kirby's had less problems with it than a lot of people have, actually, Ryan. And he's handled it really good, too, by the way. But it's a problem for people. It opens up right after spring ball, and kids are saying, hey, I'm number 2, or I'm an alternate number 2. Let me go someplace where I can start. Now, I was watching the SEC deal on the channel. Had a great show. I don't know if you've seen it. It's great about Coach Saban. It's really great. And it's great about Kirby. But it's very well done. Right? It's very well done. The SEC channel. I recommend that to anybody, because it's about the conference, and it's about the SEC channel for 10 years. But you got, like there was a boy at Georgia. He played his freshman year, had a sack in that game against TCU. I'd seen him that spring, and I thought he had really made progress while he was a freshman, but he was there the spring before. Well, as soon as that game's over, he transfers because he's not going to be the starter. Now, this kid's playing on the national championship team. He's getting playing time, and he gets a sack in the national championship game. Plays good in the game. And then, I'll be dang, he's gone. By the time I got there the spring the next year, he was gone. He was only a memory. He went to Southern California. And last year, I heard he wasn't happy with his situation at Southern Cal. And he was getting ready to put his name in the portal. And they made his situation better over there, ever what they need to do. And he stayed, and played. But he was about to change schools for the third year in a row. So it really makes it difficult on the coaches. And even Coach Saban, get close to them but keep your ear to the wall now, because I don't know what they're thinking. That's an extra layer of problems for a coach. It really is.
Well, Coach, I want to ask you about the trenches guys, because defensive lineman, offensive lineman I don't think you can make a quicker impact. It's almost like it takes a little bit of time to develop as an offensive lineman, as a defensive lineman. To me, it hurts the trenches more than any other position. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, it is. It is. And you can bring a lot of positions in. Not all of them, but you can bring a lot of them in, and they've got those God-given talents. But you got to train offensive linemen, and you got to train defensive linemen. So I agree totally with you. I think the thing that really hurts you is when you lose a backup guard or a backup offensive tackle or whatever, and or consequently a defensive lineman too. You got to train those guys to play the way you want them to play. So I think that's a costly guy when he leaves you.
Coach, I want to ask you about a couple of guys that you've worked with here in Tuscaloosa. Now, I want to go. The name LT Overton has really created a little buzz, and one of his coaches the other day, the defensive coordinator Kane Womack, called him a 280-pound butt kicker. Okay, I'm going to use that word because he said the other word, but he kind of highlighted LT Overton as a guy that had a great scrimmage. What can you tell me about LT Overton?
Now, let me make sure I got this. Is what it came from A&M.
Yes, sir, it is. Yes, sir, it is. Yep.
Yeah, and you remember now the last time we spoke. You asked me, what about Overton? And I told you then, I said, he is going to make him a really good football player. I looked for him to have a really breakout year. You remember that?
Yes, he did. Yes, I do. I wrote it down. I wrote 3 numbers down that you told me.
I saw it in the spring. The guy, I was really happy they got that guy. He seemed like such a good kid. He was involved in the meetings. I thought in the spring, he was really into ball. And Freddie has spoken 2 or 3 times about it to me, about how well he was doing. But it doesn't surprise me, Ryan. I saw that in the spring where he was making great progress. I saw a couple of plays he made in spring practice that, it takes a really good big athlete to make. So I'm not surprised, and I'm really tickled to hear that, because I did really take to him. I really liked him as a person, and I liked the way he played the game. So I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, so he's another guy that's kind of been grabbing our attention. But when you look at Jaheim Otis, another guy that had some injuries last year, multiple injuries as Coach DeBoer has pointed out. But if you go out there, he's changed numbers. He's now number 10. He looks like a different player. He looks like
number 10.
Okay. You don't like the number, Coach?
He needs to be 91 like he was,
Okay.
Hey, his freshman year, though, I thought the guy was going to be, not just a really good defensive lineman. I thought he was going to be in the list like Tomlinson, like Dalvin, or like Payne, or one of those guys. That's the way he looked to me as a freshman. And I thought really that he played, Ryan. He played extremely well his freshman year. Now, he's had those injuries and all that kind of stuff, but he really hasn't lived up to my expectations or the expectations I had for him. He really hasn't lived up to them, and he's got a lot of ability. Plus, he's a physical giant. He is a good looking guy. So in the conversation last spring that I had with him, we were sitting in Freddie's office, and just he and I. And I told him, I said, if you'll dot your I's and cross your T's and do the things you're supposed to do, you're going to have to buy all new pants this time next year. Because the pants you're wearing don't have enough money. Don't have enough room to hold all the money you're potentially going to make in pro football. That's what I thought about the guy. He's got a pro football body. He's got pro football speed. He's got pro football control of his body movement. I thought this guy was I really thought this guy was going to be great. Maybe the injuries, and I know injuries will hold you back, and I know he's had some injuries, but I really wish that guy would play. See, and I know Freddie's working every single day, every minute, every day to get him to play up to his potential. But he's got the potential to really be not just good, but very, very good, I think.
How about Tim Keenan, number 96?
Steady, good guy, class person, plays hard, plays assignment. I thought Tim had a good year last year, and I got to see him a lot on film because, this time last year, well, not this time, a little later, I was working at LSU. So every time we had a film exchange, I would watch the kids at Alabama because I had so much time and I knew them all and had an investment in all of them and everything. And I thought Tim had a good year last year. And I think he's capable, really, Brian, of playing outstanding this year for Alabama. I like him.
Yeah. Well, hey, you brought up Freddie Roach a while ago, and now we're given access to talk with coaches. I've enjoyed, getting to know Freddie a little bit more. I covered him, as a player here, and then now I've watched him develop as a coach. But, Coach, are you the one that's helping him with lifting weights? Because Freddie looks like he could give them a few reps on defensive linemen if they needed it. He spent some time in the weight room, too.
He has. He is Freddie's big, well-built guy. Takes real good care of himself. Yeah, it's been really interesting. I've known Freddie for a lot of years, actually, and it's been really interesting for me to watch him grow as he's grown these last few years. He's developed, I think, into a really good SEC defensive line coach. And, he had a tough job now. He followed a couple of guys that were not very successful at Alabama. You remember they had two D-line coaches back to back. And so that room was not the best, and it was kind of in a state of disarray.
It was.
Because Coach let two guys go back to back, which that's not him. That was never Coach Saban. Guys left, guys got better jobs, some guys, the accountability was too heavy for their shoulders, things like that. But Coach Saban, he really had no choice. And he made a couple of hiring mistakes, and he had to let those guys go. Well, Freddie came in there, and that thing, I'm telling you, that thing was turned inside out. That room was not in good shape. And I have watched Freddie work through this thing now, and to his credit, I think he's done a really good job. And I've watched him grow as a coach. I think, like I say, today, he'd be hard to replace because and the thing about the boy played there, he loves Alabama. He loves Alabama. And so it's important to him job-wise, but on a personal level, it's important to Freddie. And for Alabama to have success. And he's prideful enough to want to put a good product on the field. The one he sent me a couple of clips on this week is 44. I think he's going to have a good year.
Yeah. So, and I mean, you do. I mean, Damian Payne, the junior out of Bell. Yeah. Damian Payne, 6'4", 313 pounds. So you like what you see, Coach?
Yeah. And I think he played some pretty good football last year, but the clips I've seen that Freddie would share with me, he looks like to me that he's having a really good spring, and it's time. As Freddie and I were talking, I said, Freddie, we've been knowing this guy could. We've been believing this guy could do it. It's just a matter of time, and it looks like just looking at the clips, and now these are good clips that Freddie sends me, that for me to look at and everything. But he looks like he's having a good spring, and he tells me Tim Smith is having a good spring.
That's my next question, Tim Smith, because I think we've all been waiting on him. I mean, the size is there. He's a year older. He's a graduate student. It's now or never for Tim Smith.
Yeah, and as I said to Freddie this week when we spoke, he is kind of like 91. I'm not going to call him 10. 91. When we saw him as a freshman, we really thought there was a world of potential there. And it's not that he hadn't done some good things, because he has. He's made some plays. I remember a play he made against Ole Miss one day on a fourth down play that they went for it on fourth down deep in Alabama territory. Tim made a really outstanding play and stopped them short of the first down. It's not that he hadn't made some of those plays that we thought he was capable of making. He just hadn't been as consistent. But, like you say, it's time. Gosh, he's been there 5 years, huh?
He has been.
Or six.
He's a great, yeah. Well, he's got that. Well, you know what? He's got that COVID year, so maybe it is 6 years.
I think it's 6. I do. I think it's 6. Yeah. And like I say, he's done some really good. He does enough to let you know he's capable of doing. Because if you can do, you can do. If you can't do, you can't do. And he shows you every now and then. He'll make a really good play every now and then. You just would like for him to play at a more consistent level. And hopefully this is the year he gets it. Hopefully for him as well as the University of Alabama that he develops that consistency.
But, Coach, when you look at this defensive line room, I'm excited about this group because, we're sitting here for the last 10 minutes talking about different names, but really it's the numbers. Yeah, you got some quality guys, but when you can rotate, how much of a luxury is it when you have, I don't know the number, but let's just say 6 to 8 guys that can play that defensive front? How much of a luxury is it when depth, because that may be one of the deepest units on the team, is that defensive front?
Yeah, I think so too. Who is 23? Okay, 20? That's Overton.
22's Overton. 22's Overton.
22's Overton. Yeah.
23 is James Smith.
James Smith
Montgomery.
from
Carver.
Montgomery.
He's a sophomore.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and I look for him to play some good ball.
Okay.
He has the talent. He has the talent. And
Jamarian Latham, number 20. That is another, individual that can play some pretty good football.
Now, is that Zebo? Is that what number is he?
Well, he's number 20 now.
He was 93. He was 93.
Yes, sir. He was. Yes, sir. Yep.
Very dependable. They call him Zebo. That's what I knew about Zebo.
Okay. I was not familiar with that nickname. Yeah. Okay,
yeah. He's. You know what, Ryan? He's a good player, and he's also a very dependable guy, and he's also a very good effort guy. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of his. I like him, and I like him because he's in the right place doing the right thing, and he's doing it to the best of his ability. And, you know, that's all you can ask of a guy right there. That's all you can ask of him. So I think, you know, he's moved out. He's playing more of a defensive end outside of everything. But I think I think this will be a good year. The boy's made some plays, and when you put him in the game, he's going to give you everything he's got.
Coach, you have been not just a defensive line, but you've also been a defensive coordinator. You've been in so many different meetings, over 50 years of coaching the world of college football. When you look at opposing offenses, how much does balance impact you if a team can not just run the football but also throw the football? Can you kind of look at that from a defensive coordinator perspective?
Yeah. You know, and balance that's what you really hate. That's what you hate is balance. You know, if they throw it, they make a living throwing it, and don't run it extremely well or don't run it very well, it's a piece of cake. I mean, you know, it helps you to defend them. Vice versa, if they run the ball extremely well and don't throw it as well, when they can do both, though, I mean, all of a sudden now they got the pencil. Now, Coach Saban used to say to me, you know, if they had a star, like we were playing Tennessee one night and we won the ball game, beat them in overtime. This was early when he was here. They had a running back that was just killing people. And Tuesday night, we were meeting Tuesday night game planning. And he looked down at me and he would always call me and he'd say, Petey, we ain't letting that number 20 beat us. They may beat us, but that number 20 ain't. And so we basically, you know, they were running the football, but they were not throwing the ball very well. But 20 was killing people. And we basically took 20 out of the game. We won the game. Like I said, it was an overtime game. And they actually threw the ball a little bit better than we thought they were able to throw it. But we forced them to throw it. But, you know, you got to take away something. And when balance is what's scary, man. When you can run it effectively and you can throw it effectively. And, you know, Coach Saban always strive for that. You know, got to one time, I thought, got to where we were throwing the ball a little bit too much. And, but he always tried. I heard him tell Jimbo Fisher at a meeting one day. He said, Jimbo, I don't give a damn if we throw the ball 40 times in a game. When we need to run it, by God, we better be able to run it. And that's the way he built. And I think that's one of the big things. He understood that. And then the other thing, you know, you need to be able to run the football to hold on to a lead, what they call 4-minute offense. And, you know, I forget who it was, but I had a back that got hurt against Clemson or didn't play in the Clemson game. The night Clemson beat Alabama in the national championship. And
Bo Scarborough broke his leg. Bo Scarborough broke his leg.
That's exactly right. So the big back wasn't there. And Alabama's leading toward the end of the game, but they can't run the 4-minute offense effectively because they've lost the big back. Do you remember that?
I do. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I do.
Yeah, but you have to, a lot of times you got to close the game out. And your goal is not let them have the ball another possession. And Alabama wasn't able to do that. And I believe it was the year that Sark was calling plays for the first that Kiffin left that week. You remember he left the week?
Yes, sir, I do. Yeah. I mean, and I'm not trying to judge Coach Saban, but I almost feel like if Lane Kiffin was still there, they might have won that championship.
Yeah, you're right.
And I bet if we interviewed Coach Saban, I bet you he'd tell the same thing.
You're right. But it was it was something he felt he had to do.
Yeah, sure.
And I know it was hard. It was hard in a lot of ways. But you know, Sark's a great play caller in my book. I mean, great. But he hadn't called them all year or anything, so that, you know, it worked a little bit of hardship on him and everything. But he didn't have that big back to hand the ball to latter part of the game. Listen, by the way, I had a thought a while ago and I left it. You know, we were talking about that. When we were talking about that program on the SEC channel.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The guy that stands out in my mind is Matt Jones. They did a really good job. Matt was great on TV. They'd interviewed him about the season and that 2019, 2020, I guess it was. 2019, 2020 was the COVID year that Alabama won an unprecedented 11 SEC games. I can't even imagine that, but they did. And then showed, you know, scenes from that season and whatever. But Matt Jones, you know, he ought to be an inspiration to kids. I mean, he hung around through Tua. He hung around through my boy the Eagles.
Jalen Hurts. Jalen.
He had Jalen. He had Tua. As he said, he was the number 3 quarterback, sometimes the number 4. But he hung around there. What a great job he did. And you know, we just live in such an impatient world. That's why the portal is bad, because kids get impatient. But development comes sometimes slower for some people than it does others. And you know, if you just keep sawing wood and keep working at it, you know, so many times that really good things happen. But Coach, Matt was great in this show that they did. They did I have so much respect for him, and I'm hoping the Jaguars. I'm hoping that's a good place for him, you know, because he brings a hell of a lot to the game, on and off the field.
Well, and Coach, I'm reminded when you talk about the 2020 season, I'll let you go with this, but the meeting after COVID that you were here, and you talked about Coach Saban talking about a dinosaur, and how many of you guys, I'll never forget you sharing that story with us. And you said that's when the championship was won. It was won in that meeting. And I was like, I mean, it just will not leave my head for the memories that you shared about that season.
Well, you know, I wouldn't take any, and I've told Coach Saban this several times, and I'm very sincere with it when I say it. I wouldn't take anything for having the opportunity to have attended that meeting. I've never seen anything like it. I really haven't. And I told him that. And you know, what I would do a lot, because I don't like to bother Coach Saban or anything. You know, I don't like to. His time's so damn valuable. I hate to take up his time and stuff like that. But what I do sometimes is when the game was over and I knew he hadn't had time to get back to the dressing room or whatever, you know, I would call and leave a message. And I would tell him, you know, no need to call me back. I just wanted to say. But I called him that night as the ceremony was going on the field after the win against Ohio State. And I told him, I said, you know, as I look back, I believe it was March 13th. I believe it was. 13th, I forget. It might have been Friday, or I don't think it's Friday the 13th, but that Thursday might have been the 13th and the 4th. So the first day of practice was to be that Friday. And I've never seen anything like it. Any meeting I ever been in, he was so on top of that situation. He was so on top of it. And he didn't want to say, we're going to cancel the season. He didn't want to hear the SEC office say it, or, you know, why say that? Because then you've made a statement. Say, let's see how it's going to go. Let's see what happens. And fortunately, it went well enough that we started back playing football. Even the Big Ten started back playing football and everything. But he had that thing covered. So, Ryan, I've never seen anything like it. It was just, I sat there in utter amazement. And I spent 50 plus years sitting listening to head coaches talk and everything. It was the damnedest meeting I've ever been in my life. He was so on top of it. And he had Jeff Allen on top of it. He had the video people on top of it. He had the strength and the speed coaches on top of it. He had a plan. He had a plan for everything. And we met that morning at 7:30. He talked about it. We met again at 12:30. And he had them go through their part of it, the presentation that they were going to make to the squad at 2:30. And then we met at 2:30, and all those aspects, all those areas made the presentation to the players. And then, of course, Coach Saban oversaw the meeting and whatever, and introduced it and then closed out and everything. But I really think that the way he handled that, and I'm going to say this, so buddies of mine that were coaching in the SEC would call me and they'd say, we've decided to do this. And they would explain something to me. And I would never say it to them because I didn't want to really hurt their feelings or whatever. But I wanted to say, yeah, Coach Saban started that a month ago.
Yeah.
And people were discovering we can do this and we can do that. And Alabama was a month ahead of everybody. So that season, probably one of the most phenomenal seasons I've ever seen in my life. That season, I thought it was born in that meeting room that day. I really did. And that's what I said to him on the phone when I called and left a message. Congratulations. What a great, great game. What a great year. And I think, the road to the championship really started in that meeting on March 13th in spring ball. But, he was on top of that thing, Ryan. I promise you. that guy was on top of that, boy. So I listened to you when you were coming in. I could hear you talking about Hannah speaking and everything. What a great player. What a great, yeah. And unfortunately, I had to, was around to have to coach against him and all that stuff. But the other one was Cedric. And, he's one of my favorite people, too. I don't know what that event is, but you sure got two good. I didn't know the other person you talked about, but
it's the basketball coach. Nate Oates is the basketball coach.
Nate Oates. I know. Now I know.
Yeah, we're raising money for foster kids, foster families here in Tuscaloosa. It's one of the things I got a little small role in that. Going to be up on the stage, kind of interviewing these guys. But hey, Coach. Appreciate you as always. I look up and you and I have been talking for 34 minutes. My producer's screaming at me to go to break.
I'm sorry.
No, that was my fault.
You get me carried away. I'm sorry.
No, that was my fault. Hey, Coach, I appreciate you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, my friend.
Always fun to be able to pick Coach's brain. I mean, he talked a lot about the defensive side of the football, the offensive side of the ball, and gave you a little insight. Hopefully you took notes. We'll continue with more of the game. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. A very good Thursday afternoon to you. Dealing with pretty lightweight delays for the time being. 69 on the northbound lanes to Union Chapel Road. You got a bit of a long line of brake lights there back to Sellers Sprayberry Parkway. And the usual happenings on McFarland and Lurleen Wallace, that intersection.
Buying dish soap. There's more to imagine when you listen. Discover heart-stopping romance titles on Audible.
Northport Power Equipment, largest inventory Husqvarna dealer in the Southeast. You'll find the Husqvarna models for residential and the professional landscapers, Skag commercial mowers, residential mowers, backpack blowers, handheld blowers, battery-operated tools. The service department at Northport Power Equipment.
Visit us at 3537 Skyland Boulevard East or check us out online, bmwoftuscaloosa.com. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Take your dreams for a drive.
El Gran is the great Mexican place in Winn-Dixie Shopping Center. Go over and see my friends Carlos, 205-391-4555, 62 McFarland Boulevard, Monday through Thursday from 11 until 9:30, Friday and Saturday 11 until 10:30, Sunday also open 11 until 9. You'll find the great daily lunch specials. You'll find great entrees, including the great fajitas, great desserts, the kids menu, always welcome, the call-ahead orders as well. El Gran on McFarland Boulevard. You'll find it at the Winn-Dixie Shopping Center.
Roll Tide, the best sports talk, period. Your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
If you're one of those that just wants it like spoon-fed, because I listen to many conversations, but I'm always on the edge of my seat because you got to understand Coach Pete Jenkins. Just do a search for Coach Pete Jenkins and Coach Saban. You'll read the Ross Dellinger piece. I mean, Ross Dellinger documented that when you look at Coach Pete Jenkins and the relationship that he had with Coach Saban, not just as a coach there, but as a consultant, as a mentor, as a guy that he would lean on. Both of them, had a strong relationship. I'll never forget the day that Coach Saban retired. I reached out to Coach Pete Jenkins. I sent him a message. I said, Coach, will you come on and talk about Coach Saban? He said, I'm not sure I can. And he came on the air and he shared memories of working with Coach Saban. But he also teared up. And he said, I hope the administrative people who run college football understand what they've done. He said, I hope they understand what they've done to college football. That you got a coach that was not ready to get out, who got out simply because of the chaos. And he went through, and you could even hear him during the interview on January the 10th of this year, tearing up. And he talked about how much Coach Saban meant to him. But you listen to him, he's still, as he talked about with Freddie Roach, he gave you a lot of hints on that defensive front. But we also talked about balance. How much that's the key. It's not about whether you can run the football or throw the football. Is if you can do them both, where you keep that defensive coordinator guessing. Well, I better not load up against the rush because they'll throw the football over top of my head. Well, if I guard that, they're going to pound me. They're going to pick up tons and tons of yards. Guys, if you listen closely, listening to that interview, it kind of gets you excited because he started talking about these defensive front guys. It's in the trenches where it's won and lost. It's won and lost, right? Think about that offensive line. We think this offensive line is going to be much better. We think this defensive line is going to be a productive unit. We've already heard about LT Overton, and we can even go back to what Kane Womack said on Tuesday. He said he's a 280-pound butt kicker. I don't know about you, but I like when defensive linemen can be described as a 280-pound butt kicker. And you heard Coach Pete Jenkins talk about LT Overton just a couple of minutes ago. I don't know about you, but man, that interview got me excited. listen to him break down. I mean, we're talking about an individual who Coach Pete Jenkins, he's currently 82. He'll be 83 later this month. 55 years of coaching, and most of that has been on the defensive side of the football. He sent 30 players in the trenches to the NFL. I mean, he's coached the big names. But you think about starting back in 1964 as assistant coach and working his way all the way through, even as an analyst. I mean, LSU brought him back as an analyst last year. But he's been a consultant. He's been an analyst. He's coached with Nick Saban. Always fun to pick his brain for a couple of minutes. A lot of fun, a bit of talk with Coach Pete Jenkins. Let's continue with more phone calls. And we're talking about today, put your Debbie Downer glasses on. What's the floor for this team? We're taking your phone calls right now, 205-342-9904. Josh, this might be the biggest challenge I've ever challenged you with. I hope all is well. Welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa.
It is the biggest. Good afternoon, Ryan. It is the biggest challenge you have challenged me with since I have been a caller to your show, because you know how I am when it comes to Alabama Crimson Tide football.
All right. But now hold on.
I'm listening.
All right. I want you to be negative, Josh. Okay. So what's your middle name, Josh?
Daniel.
Oh, good name. I love the book of Daniel. The book of Daniel will challenge you, but it'll also wake you up, man. There's some scary stuff in the book of Daniel.
For sure.
If you read, I know you're a Bible guy as well.
And if you want me to be technical, my name is Joshua Daniel, so Joshua's that's one of my favorites.
Okay. So. No doubt. All right.
I'm just saying.
So I won't even call you Josh in Georgia. Okay. Daniel in Georgia. Okay. Daniel in Georgia. Put your Debbie Downer glasses on and tell me what's the floor for this team. What's the worst case scenario that you see?
I don't see nothing except I have to agree with Robert in Mobile. I mean, 9-3 is the lowest thing I see for this team to do, and that would be losing at least one of 3 road games, because they are SEC road games. Wisconsin, if it sneaks up on you, would be one of my other ones. And then you may have to put 2 of those SEC road games in there, because I'm not going to lie, I've been listening to some stuff from former players, and they asked them about their past experiences. And I was listening to an interview with Rashaan Evans about a week ago, and they said, Rashaan, what was one of the toughest places to play? And he said, dude, I'm telling you, no doubt it was Neyland Stadium in Knoxville. And we know that from a couple years ago, because, Ryan, my memory goes back to that game in 2021 in Neyland Stadium. At one point, we are down 28-10, and the game's on CBS, so I already can't stand the announcers. And I was ready to about throw the remote into the TV, because one's the score, 2, you got Gary and Brad on there, blah, 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 blah. We all know how that is. We've had to listen to CBS announcers for years with our games. And so Neyland Stadium makes me nervous, but I don't just cringe at it, okay? But 9-3 is the worst I see with this team. And even then, I think we still get in a bottom 4 spot in the playoffs. I mean, with 12 teams, are you going to leave a 9-3 Alabama
in reality, I know we all have our eyes set on this national title, and we think Alabama can win a national title, okay? But I also look back and I say, a 9-3 first year under Kalen DeBoer and a playoff appearance is a pretty solid.
It's not bad. It's solid. No, it really is.
It's not Alabama standard. It's not Alabama standard.
By no means. No. By no means is it Alabama standard. I was talking to a guy Tuesday night, and we was talking about how the pressure, and of course we went on this show, several people, the pressure's not even on us. We was talking about, at worst, this friend of mine who's a Bama fan, he said 10-2 in a playoff appearance is a win for him in his book, even though it's not what we're used to, but 10-2 under a new head coach in a playoff appearance, that's a win. because the pressure right now is on Georgia. The pressure right now is on Texas. The pressure right now is on some of these other schools that we think is going to do well, that has a program to do well enough to be a 12-team playoff team, and the pressure is not really on us. I mean, 9-3, I think, still gets us into the playoffs over a 9-3 Florida State team, over a 9-3 Big 12 team, whoever it could be, come out of that Big 12 and even make an appearance. I think a 9-3 easily still gets us in, like I said, a bottom 4 spot. Now, do I like the idea of having to go on the road to a campus to play a playoff game? Not really, because I mean, I like watching the guys play in front of our home crowd. I want somebody to have to come to us. I'd love to be one of those 5 through 8. I think it's 5 through 8 if I've got my calculations right. 5 through 8 get to host games. I would much rather have a Penn State, a Notre Dame, or whoever it is come to Tuscaloosa. But if it was a 9-3 at worst and we had to go on the road, I want to get them boys so fired up and be like, hey, this is not what we expected, but we're still here. And we get a chance to go out and prove to ourselves and to prove to everybody else that we're here for a reason. I mean, that's worst case scenario. I mean, you put us in, I think Coach DeBoer and them boys can fire them guys up and we can go out on the road and win a playoff game. I'm serious. Do I want to? No. I'd rather have it in Tuscaloosa and have somebody else come into our house and try to beat us in our house. Because that'd be hard to do.
So 9-3 is where you're going. 9-3.
If you have to ask me to put bottom shelf, 9-3 is it. I mean, 10-2 still sounds too positive probably for you for today's question. Does it not?
Well, I mean, but I also think, and I've said this for the last 3 or 4 weeks, when you look at the world of college football, it's changed. It's changed. Right here in front of us, it's changed.
Oh, no doubt. Because
now wouldn't be able to win 5 years ago. I think if you look at it now and you could say, like, take the Michigan Wolverines. Was there anything about that team that was dominant? No. Like, if you lined them up against 5 years ago, the national champ, I don't even know who it is. Just pick it out. Maybe it was LSU, I guess, 2019. LSU 2019 would stomp an absolute mud hole in the Michigan Wolverines. I mean,
it would have been LSU, because Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, that offense.
Listen, it would have been that thing would have been over.
Oh, I'm telling you, because if you go back and watch that playoff game, because I was going to watch that playoff game between them and Oklahoma, dude, I left the restaurant where I was sitting there watching it with my buddy. I left at halftime. I'm like, dude, this ain't even a game. And because they just stomped Oklahoma into the ground. Because if you remember, if you go back, I know we don't like to remember this game, but if you go back to the year before where Clemson stomped us in Pasadena, Clemson looked pretty doggone good with that boy from Cartersville and Trevor Lawrence. So then they get back to the title the next year, and it's like, okay, this is going to be a shootout and a half between Clemson and LSU. LSU stomped them like they stomped us the year before. So, no, if LSU 5 years ago and the Michigan team that just won lined up and played, LSU is beating them probably by 3 scores. So I have no doubt about that. If you was to line that team up against any of Coach Saban's championship teams, 09, 11, 12, 15, 17, dude, I think any of those teams could have beat this past year's Michigan team. I'm serious. I mean, 2015, 2017 would have been my pick to line that up. I know that's not where we're going, but you've got me there now just thinking. But anyways, and I like to fantasy book, football teams, but I don't do that terribly much. But I just like to think, hey, what if this team would have been able to play this team? So anyways, but
perfect.
It's a hard thing for me to be negative, dude.
Well, you haven't been. It's been Daniel from Georgia. So, hey, Josh, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Hope you have a great day.
Yeah, buddy. Roll Tide. Appreciate it.
Hey, we'll break here. We'll come back. Hey, listen, we're going to set the stage for the 5 o'clock hour. We'll take your phone calls if you want to jump in. 205-342-9904 Tide 100.9 1230 WTBC. Your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Pretty much moving at posted speed for the most part. You'll slow up at those intersections, but nothing other than that. And then, of course, inside the construction zone, 359 northbound between 2059 and 15th Street. You'll tap on those brakes a bit. And McFarland Boulevard.
Coach's Huddle is your insight into your local prep sports program and is brought to you by Venue Tuscaloosa, Arkley GMC, and Legend Energy Drinks.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Partly to mostly sunny this afternoon. A small chance of a shower through the evening hours. The high today 93, tonight's low 74. Tomorrow morning sunshine. A chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms by afternoon. The high 92. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Where the legends of Alabama football hang out.
McCarron, draw play. Lacey, huge hole. Touchdown. Yep. Alabama touchdown.
The Game with Ryan Fowler. Your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
TheStandardBama.com, home of the 20-inch pizza pie, pepperoni meat lovers, cheese, design your own, the mac and cheese pots, the cheese sticks. You'll find those wings, boneless wings, TheStandardBama.com, TheStandardBama.com. All right, so we're free rest of the way. We want to take your phone calls. We've actually got 2 lines available, which is kind of rare on this show, 205-342-9904. We're trying to put you in a worst-case scenario, because there's a lot of Debbie Downers out there. And you're going to hear an audio clip coming up at 5:02 that it kind of makes you think, okay, just a little bit. I'll let you hear from that. But first off, we go back to the way, because we're talking about LT Overton with Coach Pete Jenkins a couple of minutes ago. Listen to the way Kane Womack explained LT Overton.
Well, LT has a great skill set. You can tell he's honed in his pass rush ability. He's got really good complementary answers to his fastball. He's a great speed to power rusher. But he's done it probably a million times over his life, right? And he can feel, whether the offensive lineman is on his top hip or his bottom hip and know how to counter back inside or outside. So he's a really great on-body rusher is what I would say, right? So that when he gets in to the man, he knows how to counter back very quickly. And, he's 280 pounds, right? So, and can move his feet. So those things are really challenging for an offensive lineman to deal with.
Do you think he's like...
I think him and Zebo Latham are really the frame, right? That's the ideal. That person has to play a 4-eye. They have to play a 5 technique. They got to play a 9 technique, right? Occasionally, right, they'll fall back inside on the run fit, some of those things, right? They can do a lot of different things. But I'm impressed with their athleticism. I mean, those guys, they can really move. They can, they do a good job to be that big. So yeah, I would say from a prototype bandit, position, the field defensive end, that makes things really challenging to establish runs to the field when you have a 280-pound ass kicker over there. So,
if that doesn't fire you up, I mean, we've already got you on a couple of different things, but that's a big comment. LT Overton, we are now 16 days away, brought to you by Alabama Credit Union. Alabama Credit Union. Hey, we're going to start the 5 o'clock hour with your phone calls coming up in a couple of minutes. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles,
Here's Nick Cope.
News in the NFL. Reports say Bills Pro Bowl linebacker Matt Milano is out indefinitely after tearing his bicep in practice. He will have surgery in hopes that he may return later in the season. Chiefs coach Andy Reid said they plan to play their starters for the entire first half of Sunday's preseason game against the Lions. Jaguars coach Doug Peterson said quarterback Trevor Lawrence will not play in Sunday's preseason game against the Buccaneers. Jordan Chiles said in a statement to social media that the decision to strip her of her bronze medal, quote, feels unjust and comes as a significant blow not just to me but to everyone who has championed my journey, close quote. In college football, Ohio State named Kansas State transfer Will Howard the team starting.
Or text DEAL to 511-511.
Your order is back with a 90-day guarantee.
All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Rolling down a backwoods Tennessee byway, one arm on the wheel, holding my lover with the other, a sweet soft southern thrill. Worked hard all week, got a little jingle on a Tennessee Saturday night. Couldn't feel better, I'm together with my Dixieland tonight. Spend my dollar, park in a holler neath the mountain moonlight. Hold her up tight, make a little loving, a little turn it oven on a Mason-Dixon night. It's my life. Oh, so right, my Dixieland delight.
All right, we welcome you right back into the game here in Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. Let's count them together. You guys ready? I mean, I'll let Dixieland delight go a little bit longer there. Alabama had a practice this morning. Had a Yay Alabama presentation from not just the $1 Million Band, but the Alabama cheerleaders teaching the fight song to the new players. I said this a couple of minutes ago. Hey, can we get a video of Coach DeBoer? How about all the new coaches singing Yay Alabama? I mean, do we know anything about DeBoer's singing ability? I mean, I think that's worth at least, what do you think, Wyatt and Jackson? At least one win, possibly two? I mean, can he hum a tune? I mean, I can't hum a tune. You heard me sing Yay Alabama earlier, right? I went through the fight song. Tommy and Romulus couldn't do it, so I had to jump in and save him. So I did. But, I mean, I think it's worth at least a couple of wins. Let's count the credentials of the University of Alabama. Every day at 5 o'clock, we run through these credentials. Let's count them together. You guys ready? 18 national titles. Nobody has more. Nobody's even close. 30 SEC titles. Nobody's close to that number either. We've actually more than doubled up the second place team. The second place team is Georgia and Tennessee. They're tied at 13 SEC titles. Alabama has 30. 147 first team All-Americans, roll tide. 77 postseason appearances. NCAA record. Nobody has more than 77 postseason appearances. 45 postseason victories. Nobody has more. We're NCAA record on that. The NCAA all-time scoring leader, by the way, it's 16 days away, brought to you by Alabama Credit Union. Will Reichard wore the number 16, so we're one Will Reichard away from Alabama Crimson Tide football, brought to you by Alabama Credit Union. 4 Heisman winners and the greatest football coaches to ever walk the sidelines. We are talking a little Alabama Crimson Tide football, and we are powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota. Right now, the 2024 Corolla at 3.99 APR. You can find it at Tuscaloosa Toyota and TuscaloosaToyota.com. And Tuscaloosa Toyota wants me to remind you the 3rd annual Tuscaloosa Toyota Golf Classic, September the 9th through the 15th at Old Colony Golf Complex. It's going to be once again the LPGA qualifier. I'm sure we'll be talking a lot more about that, but it's presented by the Tuscaloosa Toyota folks. The Tundra, 1.99 APR for 36, and you also get a $2,000 loyalty cash. See the dealer for complete details. It is Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com. I am a big fan of RJ Young, okay? He's a friend of mine. I feature RJ Young, and matter of fact, we're going to feature him tomorrow. We just disagree on opinions, okay? RJ Young, I've watched him even before he was a national college football analyst for a local analyst, okay? Because I've known RJ for quite a while. I've had him on my show multiple times. RJ went out with his top 134 teams in college football. He's got Alabama at number 9. Here is why he explains that the AP got it wrong when he looks at the Crimson Tide. Some praise for Kalen DeBoer, but listen to him closely, and I'm going to counter his rebuttal right after this. This is RJ Young from Fox Sports Radio.
Taking a look at the AP rankings, I got to tell you, I'm shocked at where Alabama is. I think they're overrated at number 5 because we're treating this Alabama team like it is still coached by Nick Saban, and it is not. Now, that is not to say that Kalen DeBoer is not one hell of a football coach. 104 wins and 116 times as a head coach, but I'm looking at the roster that they have, and it's Jalen Milroe and the Pips on the offense, and on the defense, it's Malachi Moore and the Pips. And we're talking about Kane Womack and Nick Sheridan going into their year ones as coordinators in what plans to be the deepest SEC that we've ever seen, and a team that is going to be up against it making the college football playoff against perhaps other one-loss teams like a Notre Dame. I think that LSU is underrated. Looking at my rankings, they're at number 7, and the AP has them at number 13. I think this could easily be one of the 3rd or 4th best teams in the SEC, which means they have an opportunity to make the college football playoff with a loss in conference. And if they get a double-digit win against USC in an SEC versus Big Ten matchup, I think you're going to see my rankings and the AP rankings change.
All right, and we will feature RJ Young tomorrow afternoon, and we'll talk about this Alabama football team. We'll talk some college football with him. He's got a 134 ranked, so he's a little negative on Alabama, but even there, even with RJ has got Alabama a lot lower than most people, but he's also got him at number 9. I mean, he's got him at number 9. Don't we expand the playoffs to 12? Wouldn't 9 get him in? I think 9 would get him in. So he's saying overrated. So I'm asking you today, what is the bottom? Let's go to Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Piano Man, it's good to see your name pop up on the screen. I hope you're having a great day.
Hey, roll tide, Ryan. Good to hear from you again, my friend.
Roll tide. Piano Man, have you ever done radio?
Once upon a time, filled in a couple of times for someone.
Okay. Well, you've got a voice that would be perfect for radio. I mean, you've got a set of pipes, my friend. I mean, every time you come on, I can hear that radio voice in you.
I appreciate it, but I leave that to the professionals like you. And but if I'm ever given an opportunity, I'll if you need to fill in one day, Ryan, I'll be glad to do it for you.
Okay.
Won't be quite as eloquent as you, but I'll get the job done.
Okay. Well, you got a good voice. You got a good voice, man. So I always,
thank you, sir.
When you call in, it reminds me. But what's on your mind, my friend?
The first thing I want to say is I enjoy you on Facebook, and I can't wait to get on there to see what you have. And man, just keep doing what you're doing. But to the matter at hand, the ceiling and the floor. I've been hyped up so for the last couple of weeks until the 31st just came. Get here fast enough for me, but if I had to do a floor, it would have to be 8 and 4.
Okay.
It would be 8 and 4. 8 and 4.
That seems so far off. I'm not saying you, but that's the floor. That's what we're asking. We're asking people. All right. So what would it take us to get to 8 and 4? What would we have to do to get 8 and 4?
I'm going to be honest, and I've said this all along, Ryan, injuries. Okay. I believe injuries to keep players, not so much necessarily bad play or missed assignments, things like that. I've noticed stuff, man. We play so doggone hard until sometimes we injure our own selves. Just thinking back, when Henry To'oTo'o was playing against, I forgot who he was playing against, and he went for a hit, and he was barreling so hard until he hurt himself. I think for us to go 8-4, it wouldn't be because we are a bad team. I believe it would be more that injuries to key people, and then our subs in there wouldn't be able to do the job effectively as our starters. That's how I believe we would be 8-4, not because of bad play. And definitely not because Georgia or one of those other yahoos think they're better than us, because they're not. Injuries.
Well, and Piano Man, until we get through this first year, we think we know what it takes, right? I mean, we think we know what it takes to get in. We also think we know what it takes to get left out. But I think we're dealing with so much change in college football. I mean, you heard it from Coach Pete Jenkins a couple of minutes ago. Where are we going to see the biggest impact? I mean, Kirby Smart, the number one team in the country. We played the audio clip in the 4 o'clock hour where he's screaming about depth. Hey, we're not very deep. We're very thin in some positions. That's Kirby Smart. That's a guy that's been established in his program. 2016 is when he arrived in Georgia. So 8 years in Georgia. He shouldn't be having this conversation, but he's having that conversation because of the world of college football that we live in.
Well, Ryan, I'm going to tell you this. Since you brought Georgia up, I'll hang out with you right there. Georgia was stacking. But if you paid attention to them, when they peaked out, or when they won that back-to-back and everything, they actually peaked out. After they won the first one, then they won that second one. That second one was almost like a surprise deal. Because if you go back and you look at them, who was the one team they still couldn't beat? They still couldn't beat us. They still couldn't beat Bama. Still could not beat them. And then we lost. We had to go to another bowl game. But even at that time, everybody was relieved because we would have been a 2-loss team in the playoff that year. And we were peaking at the right time. We would have beat Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and whoever else was up there that year. We would have whipped all 4 of those teams at that time. But we didn't do what we needed to do back. And so but Georgia still, they peaked and then they won that second. But then look what happened last year. And I've been saying all along, and Kirby Smart, I'm glad he's saying it, they are not deep at all. And they're thinning out because, number one, they lost a lot in the transfer portal. And it's just not being publicized because it's being overshadowed by the fact that Alabama lost a lot when Coach Saban retired, and everybody thought that the world was coming to an end, and that was going to be the end of Alabama. But look what has happened. But then the other part of that with Georgia is their players getting in trouble. Then the other part of that is I do believe that there are some more issues going on as far as academics is concerned. So it could be a number of things, but Alabama has business to take care of. And so, like you said, we think we know. We can hypothesize it. We can take guesses and predictions and this, that, and the third until August 31st comes. We won't know until then. And so I've said this before. I'll say it again. I believe that the game that's going to start us off will not be Western Kentucky, but it will be USF. South Florida. Why do I say that? That will be the night that it will become Saban Field, emotions, this, that, and the third. How will we respond to the emotion, to to all of that. Then number 2 is USF. Even though we beat them last year, but they made us look bad last year. That's why we dropped the 13th the way that we did that game. How will we respond to that game? That's going to be the game for me to begin to judge and gauge some things into how fired up we be, our emotions are in check, and are we paying attention to detail and things like that. That's the game going into the Wisconsin game, the USF game. How will we respond? That's my game right there.
All right. So in your opinion, Piano Man, do we have a chance to win it all?
We have a chance to win the whole thing. And Ryan, I'm going to say this. You had a caller earlier. I was driving from work and I was listening and everything, and he said 12-0. I think I'm going to stand with him. I believe we're going to run the table. I do not believe Georgia's going to beat us. And I was on Twitter this morning, and some guy was talking about that Alabama will lose to Georgia, Tennessee, LSU. My response was, in each one, Georgia. We just beat them for an SEC championship and stopped the 3-peat. LSU, we beat them with the Heisman Trophy winner. And Tennessee, we spotted them 21 points, and they have yet to score again. So we're supposed to lose to those 3? Give me a break.
Well, I mean, as we're sitting here talking about depth and you could be thin, everybody is. Everybody is. I mean, we don't know what's it going to be like, at the end of the season. I mean, it may be last one still standing. You're the national champ. I mean, I still think that we've asked college football to do too much in a short amount of time. We've created some stuff, and now, as they always say, the chickens have come home to roost. 12-team playoff, the depth issues, NIL, transfer portal, unlimited transfer portal. That's a lot for coaches, man. That is a lot for them to kind of, be lined up against. But, Piano Man, I appreciate
Ryan,
anything else?
Well, can I say just one more thing?
Yeah, sure.
Just remember this. Just remember this one part right here.
Okay.
The players that are on the field this time for Alabama, those are still Nick Saban's guys. Remember that. Those are Saban's guys. Those guys still have, even though Coach DeBoer is there, and I give him the credit, because that's a good coach, man, and things that he's bringing in, but don't forget that those guys, Neil Rowe, Jam Miller, Justice Haynes, Malachi Moore, and some of the others, those guys still have a Sabanist mentality. They know what it takes to win. And so that's all I've got to say about that. Roll Tide, brother.
Hey, thank you, Piano Man. Thank you. I appreciate all of the messages as well. Piano Man's a guy that participates quite often on the app. We appreciate him for being a part of our show as we roll on. Man, I can't wait to continue the conversation. Let me tell you about Southern Ale House, 1530 McFarland Boulevard, 1530 McFarland Boulevard. Go see our good friends right there. Southern Ale House, 1530 McFarland Boulevard, 1530 McFarland Boulevard. If you're thinking about some of those great specials, and do not forget about Southern Ale House Dockside is going to be opening very, very soon. I've seen some photos. Beautiful. So it'll be Southern Ale House number 2, Dockside, and it'll be up on Highway 43 right there. I know a lot of people have been talking about that. A lot of people have been asking me about it. Hey, they'll be the great Southern cuisine, but we'll get that menu and we'll talk about it coming up as soon as they give me an official day. Do not forget about the caramel apple bread pudding. That is the bread pudding of the week. But if you're looking for a dinner special, it's the coffee rub prime rib, smoked pork chop, the blackened shrimp over Cajun Alfredo. That is the option. And then tomorrow, Boom Boom Shrimp Plate, Chicken Club, roasted wings. Oh my heavens. Coffee rub prime rib, smoked pork chop. It's all that Southern cuisine. But the dinner special this evening is coffee rub prime rib, smoked pork chop, and blackened shrimp, Alfredo. And hey, I've got the address here. If you want to put it in, it's 15129, Marina Drive, Northport, Alabama. So basically, the way that I describe it. Go past Winn-Dixie on Highway 43. Go past Winn-Dixie. Go past what? I think there's a fishing store right there. There's also a Texaco and a Chevron, and you'll find 1512 Marina Drive. And hey, coming up a couple of weeks, man, I'm looking at the location. You got to love it up there on Lake Tuscaloosa. That will be where the new Southern Ale House is going to be located. And don't worry, 1530 is always going to be there, okay? 1530 McFarland Boulevard. So the original location will be there. We've just expanding. Can't wait to see their menu. Can't wait to go up and have some great lunch and dinner at the new Southern Ale House. But don't forget about those guys. That'll be coming up in a couple of weeks. We'll continue with more of the game. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Not a bad commute. We continue with a pretty good roll here. Now 3:59, I am seeing some slow ups on the southbound lanes to Skyland Boulevard. So you definitely have your rush to home delays. And then we also, not traveling so bad, but on McFarland Boulevard, westbound onto Watermelon Road. That's also the usual slow and go you have in the area. Lurleen Wallace, northbound hookup to McFarland. Also a little slow, but it's moving. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, Tammy Thomas.
Southern Ale House, 1530 McFarland Boulevard. As you know, it's one of my favorite places. Eat Southern, be Southern, the daily lunch and dinner specials, the great menu that features that Southern cuisine, like the bacon wrap meatloaf, the fish and taters, the biscuit sandwiches, the great steaks, the great chicken entrees, great sandwiches, including the pickle burger, the Ale House burger, the yard bird, great desserts, and always that featured bread pudding that Brett Garner's cooking up. Let Southern Ale House cater your special.
And protects.
Now you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for $37.99.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Where college football season never ends. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9.
That's big boy football.
And streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
We'll also talk to Brent Beer. We'll do a free-for-all Friday sponsored by Brian Harden Construction. That is our good folks right there. Every single Friday, always made possible by Brian Harden Construction. ASME certification, I-beam installation, fabrication. If you're building for the ground up, let's build something together. I don't think this next guy is going to have any trouble giving the well, actually, is it Robert is next? Yeah, Robert's next. Then Corey won't have any trouble doing the floor. Robert in Brookwood. Robert, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
Yes, all is well.
Yeah, good, man. We're having a great day. Yeah, we're having a great day. Robert, can you put your negative hat on?
No. I'm good. I'm sorry.
What in the world?
Your fault, Ryan. It's all your fault. You told me to call in. I said my giggle box is turned upside down. I can't get it all.
Well, I was listening to Jumbo, okay? Jumbo, I mean, he has went Mr. Positive on us.
Oh, yeah, I love it. You know, he's been negative for many years, predicted 2 or 3 losses or 4, and we went out. So this time I'm actually stressed out because of Jumbo. We might lose 4 or 5.
All right. He called in today, and he literally said, when's the last time I've been negative? And I'm like, well, for the last 5 years.
Don't, Ryan, don't.
Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord.
Hey, I'm glad. He's on to something. He knows something. You know, he knows football, so I'm going to trust Jumbo.
Well, see, now he's working over there where he's got some sources. You know, he's got the sources. That's what it is. He's been looking at them Phil. He's been looking at them Phil Steele book. Now hold on, I'm not sure I'm following the Phil Steele book.
Just read your group text later. I gotta go, Ryan. Have a good day.
Robert, don't hang up.
I'm here.
No, here we go. I'm now reading it, never mind. Oh, Lord. Sometimes the group messages get a little bit carried out of the way. I just now read it. All right, forget about that. All right, forget about it. Take a deep breath.
Yes, I'm calm. Ask me real quick.
Okay. Don't get the giggle box started, okay? Because there's a reason. Oh, my Lord, I can't even read this message. All right, what's the worst case scenario? What's the floor for Alabama? What's the floor?
Georgia, Tennessee, and LSU. I think that's the most losses if they do have.
So 9-3. 9-3 is what you said.
Yeah, that's the worst, I would think. I'm not worried about it, Wisconsin or Oklahoma. I still think going to be one loss is 2, but that meant the worst would be 3, but that could still get you in. Depends on what everybody else does. I mean, if Alabama's right there on the edge, you know the committee will take Alabama just for ratings and money purposes. So we got that in our back pocket always. Don't you think?
I feel like we do. And, you know,
and you've earned it over the years too.
Well, and this committee, I think it's probably the most that you've had as far as of good football minds. You got some pretty solid football minds, like former defensive back Mike Riley. He played under Coach Bryant, didn't he? Here at Alabama. Also, I saw earlier today where he is not going to recuse himself. He's only going to recuse himself and not vote when Oregon State's there. I thought that was a little, strange.
But, he coach had some pretty good seasons with him, but Mike Riley was always a good player and a good guy.
So, I mean, you do kind of think about, but looking at this list, I was going back to that email a couple of minutes ago, but it's a decent list of football minds. So, but I mean, this season is going to be. Who knows what it's going to bring?
You're right. You're talking about all the people with depth issues and stuff. It's a different ball game, and I still think it's going to be a fun season. Just if you lose, I don't mean you're out of it. There was so much pressure in the past that one loss you could be out of it. Now, I'm not saying nobody's going to deliberately lose. Everybody wants to go undefeated, but it just just changed the scenario a lot.
But that's not realistic. It's not realistic. It's no longer realistic to say, well, we're going to go undefeated 12-0.
I think you're right. You've been saying that for a few weeks now. I think that's a good point. I don't see nobody going undefeated.
So, just my thoughts. I mean, when I look at it, I just don't think that, Kirby Smart's the first one who said it. We were down in Sandestin. I was in the press conference when he said it. He said, we're done with undefeated seasons. We're done with undefeated teams and undefeated seasons. That's just not going to be a part of the recipe. I agree with it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Also, Kirby knows his schedule changed, too, though. You would have heard him say that the last 2 years before.
Amen. I mean, he's got it.
He knows he's got something coming,
He's got it. Well, don't let Digger know that I'm bragging on Texas, but he's got to go to Texas, and he's got to go obviously to the University of Alabama, to Tuscaloosa. Good luck, Kirby.
Well, Texas got some losses. I think Ole Miss could get them, and I think definitely they're going to lose at Texas A&M.
Is that Georgia game, is it at Ole Miss?
It's at Ole Miss. I don't know about the Ole Miss-Texas game where that's at, but
No. I'm asking if Georgia is traveling to Oxford. Are they playing?
The Georgia game's at Oxford.
So
I thought I saw that on the schedule.
No, it is. It is. So they play. All right, they play their 4 SEC games that are away from there is
Alabama, Ole Miss,
Texas, and Kentucky. And then they start off with Clemson. There is no wonder Kirby got up there and said it. Kirby.
Well, if Dabo wants to come back, that's a big game for Clemson if they want to get back in the picture.
Yeah, I mean, and they could. They could. Man, oh, man, oh, man. Well, hey, Robert, I'll let you go. I know you got to go read your Phil Steele book, man. I appreciate you as always.
Yes.
That's an inside group message, man. Sometimes this group message can get a little bit crazy. We appreciate Robert. We'll get to more calls coming up in a couple of minutes. T-Town, Tide, 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Starting at just $79.99. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Where the season never ends. This is your home of Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
At 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. Stop daydreaming and start listing. The BMW Summer Sales event has arrived. The BMW of Tuscaloosa is your go-to destination for unbeatable offers with new management and General Manager Richard Cates leading the way. BMW of Tuscaloosa is committed to a customer-first experience. Our improved inventory and fresh approach mean more satisfied drivers hitting the road on selected models through August the 31st. Get interest rates as low as 2.99 on a new BMW. And that's not all. Enjoy leases, credits up to $9,900 at summer sales that you don't want to miss. Need service? BMW of Tuscaloosa has you covered with all your factory-trained technicians, whether it's general maintenance or more complex repairs. We handle all makes and models with expertise. Visit us, 3537 Skyler Boulevard East, or check us out online. BMW of Tuscaloosa. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Take your dreams for a drive. Let's continue with more phone calls, and we go to Corey Trussville. Corey, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
Hey, Ryan, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. Are you sitting down, Ryan?
I am. Uh-oh. You got some negative news?
No, I'm just saying here's the floor for Alabama.
Okay. Listen, before we get into this, okay, Corey, I feel like that you, of all people, are not going to have a trouble this, right? Because you like to worry a little bit, right? Is that fair? Am I being fair?
Yes.
So, like, if it's a small thing, you like to make it a even bigger.
Depends on what it is.
Okay.
But here I go. Okay, 7-5. And I'll explain.
Okay.
Here's a combination.
Hold on. Whoa. Hold on. I can't even process 7-5. Like, my brain doesn't even go down that far.
It's a combination of things. One, if Milroe is out, like, let's say we play Wisconsin and he tears his ACL or has a significant injury. And we just have a rash of injuries throughout the season. Number two, here's the losses. Georgia, LSU, Tennessee, Missouri, and Oklahoma. And the second thing is, let's say Kane Womack's defense just doesn't live up to the hype. I mean, it just doesn't come together. I mean, I'm just giving you an example here.
Okay.
And then offensively, same thing. It just doesn't mesh. I mean, we've heard great things about Ryan Williams. I mean, the offensive line still struggles from last year in pass protection. I mean, we've heard great things about the offensive line in fall camp, but let's say it rears its ugly head again. I mean, you just never know. I mean, or let's say the kicking game, let's say Graham Nichols struggles in the SEC. I mean, you just never know. I mean, I'm just throwing out examples here. I mean, do I think all that's going to happen? No. But if you want now, I threw out the worst of the worst. Okay. I know you said give the floor. Do I really? If you want a realistic floor, I think 9-3 would be a realistic floor. Does that make sense?
Okay, so 9-3 is where you're going, but you think they could be as low as 7-5?
Yes. The 3 losses would be Georgia, LSU, and Tennessee. But the reason why I said 7-5 is if just every imaginable disastrous thing happened. The 9-3 came from a scheduling standpoint. Is that how you were phrasing the question from a scheduling standpoint?
Yeah. I mean, when I look at it, how many, what do you think? Because I look at these people trying to stretch Alabama out to this team. Like, in my worst case scenario for Alabama, I can't find them not in the playoffs. I think it's a playoff football team. I've watched this team 13, 14 practices here. Hearing the people that I'm talking to behind the scenes, I think this is a playoff team.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think a 9-3 Alabama would make the playoffs?
I think a 9-3 would be a playoff team.
Because, it depends on who you lost to as well. I mean, if you had a nail biter against Georgia and you lost, if you lost to Tennessee or you lost to, if you lost the SEC championship game, then I think that would be a playoff team, I think. And do you think the SEC is going to be a jumbled up mess this year? I mean, because, yes, Georgia's or whoever the top team is going to be the top team. But I could see a scenario where it's a jumbled up mess for that number 2 spot, getting to the SEC title. Could you see that?
I guess so. But I mean, who knows what this league? I do think what R.J. Young said. I do think that this SEC is as deep as we've been.
Yeah, I mean, you got 2 new teams entering. There's no divisions anymore, and you can't take any week for granted. I mean, well, except for Vanderbilt or Mississippi State now. But I mean, you just, depending on who you draw, who you play, where you play, and when you play them, you can't take 90+% of the teams for granted. I mean, look at Missouri. I mean, we get Missouri for homecoming. I mean, when's the last time we had a decent team for homecoming? It's been a long time. And Missouri's not going to be an easy team to beat. I mean, they got the best receiver in the SEC, And Eli Drinkwitz is no slouch.
I got you. I got you.
All right. I like
Corey, No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll let you finish your thought.
I was going to say, I like our schedule. If everything falls into place, we should be seated pretty high in the playoffs.
We should. Listen, and to be honest, I know we're going to end the show coming up here in about 15 minutes. I think this team's got a chance because this conversation will set up tomorrow's conversation. Okay? We did worst case scenario. Tomorrow we're going to do a little best case scenario. I'm going to find out how many people's on board with this team. I think they've got a chance to win a national title. I really do. I think they've got a chance to win a national title. I think when you look at this team, there's something mentally different about this team. Here I am. I'm already previewing tomorrow's show. But I think this team has a chance. I'm not saying they will. I think they've got a chance to win it all. Corey, I appreciate you, man. Go ahead.
Well, you just know there's a quiet confidence about this team. Not an arrogant or cocky, but I just think that there's a quiet confidence about this team.
There is. Hey, Corey, I appreciate you so much, man. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too, Ron. Roll Tide.
Right back to you. Hey, Jackson and Wyatt, do I owe you guys a break? I think I do. I think I owe you guys a break. Let me break here. I'll come back. Cowboy and Max on the other side. Ellis, I see you. We're coming to you guys next right here on the game. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Weekday mornings at 6 a.m. The Martin Houston Show.
Join the Martin Houston Show for a Friday edition of the program. It'll be a free-for-all Friday. We'll continue to break down Alabama football. And also want to remind you that tonight you can catch the high school football show. The West Alabama High School Pigskin Preview airs tonight at 7 o'clock. We'll be doing a preview show of all of the schools that we'll be covering throughout the 2024 season. Those conversations and more right here on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC.
Catch the Martin Houston Show from 6 to 7 weekday mornings on Tide 100.9. Tide 100.9 Traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, it has definitely beefed up in the area for your rush to home. We have ourselves some delays on McFarland Boulevard, of course. On the westbound lanes to Watermelon Road, this has got you tight back to Rice Mine Road. And then it picks up again right there at Lurleen Wallace, of course, on the westbound side. Well, east and westbound McFarland at Lurleen.
Not available in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Rating factors and savings vary, and in some states your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
The longest-running sports show in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Hey, I do remind you about Nuke's Eatery, 205 University Boulevard, 205-758-2455. The great sandwiches, California-style pizzas. It's Nuke's Eatery. We will probably not going to be able to get everybody in. Let's go to Max in Tupelo, Mississippi. Max, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Good afternoon, Ryan. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Worst case scenario for the Tide is what, Max?
10-2.
10-2. That's a worst case. That's my type of guy right there.
10-2. But look, man, if you want somebody to pee in your face and poo-poo in your house slippers while you're asleep, call Corey. He'll do it for you. Good Lord. I mean, get him to get in touch with Tony Pharmacy at Midtown and get him on some medication for his anxiety and worries. I mean, Lord.
Well, Corey is, I mean, he knows we call him this. We call him Cardiac Corey for a reason.
Yeah.
We do. Yeah.
He needs Xanax.
Well, the pharmacy at Midtown, they can get him if he needs it, but he's got to get a doctor to prescribe him first. The pharmacy at Midtown. All right, Max.
That's the worryingest individual I've ever seen in my life. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Let's go to Cowboy. Cowboy has no problem being -2 now. Cowboy, good afternoon. You're in the
What'd
game.
you say there, Ryan? What'd you say there, Ryan? I didn't catch that.
I said you don't have any problem being negative either.
No, I just tell it like it is. You just all full of pom-poms and sunshine. Hey, Ryan, your caller Corey talked about we hadn't played anybody tough for homecoming. We played Arkansas last year. It was a 3-point game, and they were driving the ball to win the game, and we had a stop. Their running back slipped on 2nd and 6 in wide open field. So, man, Corey needs to go back and look at the record book. He played Arkansas last year for homecoming. That was down to the nail bite.
Well, I didn't want to bring that up because I didn't want to get Corey worried about that game. You bring up that moment, he might be a little disappointed. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying.
You remember that running back had wide open field. He slipped and fell out of his cleats.
I'm glad he did. I'm glad he did. All right, so worst case scenario, Cowboy, what do you think?
9-3.
Okay, you're not as bad as what I thought. Okay, I'll take that. All right, Cowboy.
But you guys, there's a lot of schools trying to win a national championship, and it's not Alabama's birthright to win it. You got to go out and earn it. And I've been watching that SEC network. I saw some of it this morning, early 10-year deal. And I mean, how could you even talk about? They said in the building, Nick Saban made everybody nervous. Well, if you watch Kirby Smart on that thing, he makes everybody nervous too. He learned from the master.
He does.
I mean,
hey, Cowboy,
you know what?
Man.
Hey, I'm gonna say this and let you go. Alabama has always won with a strict disciplinarian head football coach. And put that in your pipe and smoke it, Ryan.
Thanks, Cowboy.